Welcome to Movie Heaven, Movie Hell with me, Simon Aitken, and
I'm Keith Eyles, and we are both independent filmmakers who used to enjoy discussing movies and related media and entertainment. And we are joined by a guest today.
We are. We've got Antonia McGuire with us.
Hello.
Off to a good start.
There we go. So yes, and this is kind of a special episode, I guess, because it's sadly our last episode, which obviously we're going to talk a little bit about why.
Yeah.
And there's exciting news, right? And then we'll move on to our main topic. But let's start by getting the elephant out of the room, shall we?
Yes. It has been quite a while since we've recorded an episode, and it just all comes down to the fact that, you know, our lives have just got really busy, but not for good reasons. It's just life. Life's gotten in the way. I mean, I'm working full time now, and you're working full time as well, and just finding the time to do this and make films and do our jobs and sleep and eat, it's just, you know, something had to give, and unfortunately it's the podcast that's had to sort of be given up.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, as I've always said, you had to do all the editing and the uploading and all the technical bits and pieces, so yeah, I totally get it. But we've been going 5 years, would you believe, which I find scary, and we've had well over 100 episodes of endless waffle about movies, good and bad. So you know,
I mean, lots of hours of talk about film, and I mean, it's a sort of, it's also not only is it the editing of these podcasts and the recording, but it's also the research that goes into it to actually do a normal episode of Movie Heaven, Movie Hell, where we talk about a director. We have to look at that director's entire body of work.
Yes,
and it's just finding the time to do that, because some directors' bodies of works, you know, are like 20 films, and just finding the time to sort of to do all that is just you know, it's finding it really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, just don't have the time that I used to have.
Yeah. No, I understand. Well, I mean, you know, and hey, even though this is the last episode of Movie Heaven, Movie Hell, it might not necessarily be the last podcast. It's just the last of that format, I guess. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong? I don't know.
I just say keep our options open for the future, but currently there aren't any plans. There's no announcement or some sort of new podcast or anything. It's, you know, just watch this space and see what happens.
But on a positive note,
yes,
there is exciting stuff going on, because you have this year a feature coming out, right?
Yes. So Modern Love is nearly completed, but yes, it's we're going to start screening it and taking it around festivals and all kinds of other screenings, and you know, eventually it will probably turn up on streaming somewhere. So yeah, that's exciting, and you know, who knows what's going to happen after that.
Exactly. Yes, we all live in hope something's going to happen after that, you know. Not that we don't want to obviously keep doing our day jobs, but, you know.
Yes, that's it's a weird thing to live in hope.
Indeed.
It's such the film industry as a whole is such a strange beast, because it employs a lot of people, but it's not open to everybody, and it's really hard to sort of get your foot in the door and, you know, stay there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been at this for over 20 years, and you've been at this for about as much.
Yeah.
You know, and
Scarily.
we don't feel like we've gotten anywhere closer to it.
No.
You know.
Well, it's like when I used to teach film studies, I used to say to students, and I do believe this, it's one of those weird industries that the parameters you have to deal with is it could all happen overnight or never.
Yeah.
So it's you know,
it's always changing. The landscape's always changing as well. So, you know, what could be in 1 minute could be out the next minute, and you don't know. It is luck.
Yeah.
Just pure luck.
And they might even bring other things out called Modern Love at exactly the same time, which is really annoying, right?
But they're really shit versions. It's not the real version.
Well, yeah. If we're talking about elephants in the room, let's talk about that briefly. Yeah. I knew there was going to be a TV series coming out, but I didn't realise that somebody also had the same idea as me. Even though it's not one director, it's a whole group of directors, and did a anthology film called Modern Love. So yeah,
And it's awful.
There you go. I've not seen it, but is it out? Is it even out?
It's on
Amazon
one of the
Prime, yeah.
on the streaming. Don't advertise it. It's one of the streaming services.
Yes,
It's
dear.
not very well.
Hey, these
No.
things happen. Mike Flanagan had the same idea as me about Doctor Sleep. There you go.
Yeah, but the whole term modern love wasn't also coined by David Bowie. That was what they had in the 1920s.
Mm.
So it's
Oh
like,
yeah, and there's there if you go onto
there's no
IMDb,
trademark and copyright.
Exactly,
It's
but
open
there's-
for everyone.
if you go onto IMDb, there's so many films called Modern Love anyway. So it's just the fact that these two have come out so close to my film. That's the annoying
Just
thing.
rename it Modern Love anyway.
Modern
There we go.
love-ish.
Yeah. it might what happen in the end, but
We're in the 2020s
2020s,
now, so
yeah.
it's totally different now.
yes,
There you go.
that could be
Whole new
Modern
decade.
Love 2020.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you have
We're
it.
meant to be in space now. Cars, fly, hoverboards.
Yeah, where's my hoverboard?
That's it. Where's my flying car?
My pit bull.
Yeah, it's but yeah. So I mean, so before we get into our other topic, I just feel like we should thank a whole lot of people who've helped us over the years, who've been guests and stuff, and we really appreciate the time you've taken to speak with us and come on the show, and the support you've given,
Yeah.
the free microphone you got.
Exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. All of our guests, and I don't want to name anyone in case I miss someone, because as you probably gathered, we're doing this off the cuff.
Yeah.
We haven't really rehearsed this, as you can probably tell. But yes, I think a thank you to all guests. We've had a number of guests over the years, but also all of the listeners as well. Yeah. And if you happen to be new and listening to this now, and you found us, there are, like I said, a number of episodes that you can go back, and this is the beauty of the internet, isn't it? It's all there to go back and listen to retrospectively.
Exactly. I mean, we may not be recording anymore, but they're going to still be up there. They'll still be available on iTunes and other
Stitcher
and other sort of podcast sites.
Podcatchers.
Yeah, exactly. So you get a chance to listen to our back catalogue and see what we were all about. And I like to think we've educated, we've entertained,
informed. Yes, all of those to educate, entertain, and inform. There
Exactly.
we go. We've met that quota. But I mean, there were a lot of episodes that we were going to do and didn't get round to, and there are some people that also we sort of said that we'd get them on, and that hasn't happened for various reasons. So apologies to all of those. They know who they are, and. But no, we're just grateful for the support that we did get and the guests that we have had. So
yes. So we couldn't leave it without talking about this film. If you probably remember, we did so many podcasts on the last film in this trilogy that we couldn't go without commenting on it. And
what would that be, Simon?
Well, it seems it's about the rise of a Skywalker.
Yes.
The worst title ever for a Star Wars film.
no sense.
if you thought Attack of the Clones was bad, they just outdid it.
No, but the clones, at least they did attack.
Yes.
They did their job.
Indeed.
They did. It was
Yeah.
specified.
But did the Skywalker rise? Well, that's the debate here, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, it's been out a while now, so spoiler notice if you haven't seen it, because we are going to spoil the hell out of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Don't go see it.
But oh dear, yes. But yeah, we're gonna have a chat about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, because Star Wars has always been one of those touchstones of everything we've done. We've had numerous episodes about all aspects of the Star Wars. In fact, even an episode I wasn't in, you two both talked about the expanded universe, or sorry, the Legends universe.
No,
of
let's
Star Wars.
call it expanded.
Which,
This whole Disney just axing the whole thing is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just it's the expanded universe. They can take their legends and shove it up their arse, really.
Oh, well, okay. Well, we know where you stand there then. But
we haven't really told any real feelings yet.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, and I won't reiterate it all because it's on previous episodes, but we all talked about why Star Wars was sort of special, and I always said that Star Wars was the first of so many things because I was such a young child when it first came out. And so it is very special. Yeah.
It's not to burn you guys. We have to think of it like people of okay, I can't say it nicely. There's directors out there now in Hollywood that are the same as you guys, that are making the films that you're enjoying and watching, that are the same as you, that enjoyed it. They've got into the industry because of it.
Yeah.
So it impacted so many people.
Yes.
You can't say anyone that. I mean, it's really funny when you meet people that say I haven't seen it. You almost want to go, what? Because it's very hard not to see it or have some sort of cultural impact from it, as from a child's perspective.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. I mean, it came out at a time where you had the new Hollywood, so films were a bit more freewheeling. They're more character driven. You also have the end of the Vietnam War. Especially in America, it was a massive loss for them. It was a big bummer. And you had, this, it was the start of the summer blockbusters. You had these films that took you out of that, and with Star Wars took you to a galaxy far, far away, and it was an enjoyment to watch it. And you probably didn't realize at the time what great cinema you were watching. I mean, it was a first for a lot of things. I mean, it pushed special effects. It took old story ideas. I took B movies and serials and made them A-class films. I mean, we're still living in the age of Star Wars, for good or bad. It seems to be a lot bad these days than good.
Like, what was it? Someone pointed it out to me that they saw the prequel films when they were a kid, which is always scary to think about. But then the time it came out was almost not the same, but similar to when the original films came out, when there was a war, social change, the new millennium. So even though it wasn't as cool as what we had when we were kids, but culturally it was almost impactful as it was to them. So they went backwards. So they saw the prequels, then they saw what was the original sequels, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's very strange to see how the 42 years, almost 43 now, how these films have been around and how culturally everyone has been affected by it, or at least engaged in it in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious to say, but I kind of appreciate the prequels more now.
Yeah.
There was a solid idea and a solid plan that was badly written and somewhat badly acted, but you could actually look at it and think, my God, I actually know what you're doing. I can see how it's going.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it was one person's vision.
Yeah.
For good or
He's
bad.
quite maniacal how he did it, but he had his own one vision that he stuck to.
Yeah.
And nobody could tell him what to do.
Yeah. The thing with the prequel films is it was kind of funny that these three films built up to, Vader doing his Frankenstein thing and going, no. I mean, I laughed out loud when I saw that.
I love it when I sent you the YouTube video of all the international version of him going, no. It's so weird. It's really wrong.
It was just because it was this whole thing where in the original, Vader was, he was like a foot soldier, wasn't he? He was like an SS officer. He came in and he, you know, reigned over the troops. But in the prequels, they made him out to be Space Jesus.
What I remember as a kid, Vader seemed like the devil. Okay, I'm not getting religious or anything, but he was evil. He was bad, and yet he had a child that you kind of like as a kid really liked, and you really enjoyed watching. And it's just like to think that was what you got from that, and then the whole when they did the prequels, you wanted to see the fall from grace. And like I think we said in the previous one, it wasn't really a fall. He stubbed his toe.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really graceful or nice or enjoyable as a character.
And he was tricked into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, I can do this for you. Okay, I'll go evil now.
It's like the great romance that, destroyed the galaxy. It's like, no, he was a perv and really creepy. It's like, and he was like, she should have known better. Yeah. That's a whole different thing. It is a whole different thing, but it is kind of like Shakespeare compared to now.
But it is kind of like a preamble to the Disney stuff, because as I'll just go over what I thought originally of what when Disney took over and we had The Force Awakens, I was like, oh, okay, seems more like the original Star Wars. I mean, yes, it was a remake of A New Hope.
But what was your original take when Disney originally took over? Because my first idea was, we're going to have Disney on Ice. Because I'm like, because I'm not like my favourite thing about thinking about Disney when I think of it is always the Addams Family clip when they force Wednesday to watch Disney in a little cabin with her brother, and they're like, it's Disney, because it's like the anti, it's the establishment. It's not cool. It's like fun. It's like Sound of Music. It's gross.
Well, I think at the time, I wasn't. I don't think I thought much about it at all. But not in a I think it's going to be terrible or good. I just didn't really think much of it. I thought that they bought Marvel, and
when
they
did Marvel happen? I can't remember the dates there.
A few years before.
Yeah, I mean, they bought Marvel and they let them get on with it. And it didn't seem like... they didn't... It's just kept carried on. And they seem to have a bit more money behind them. So it was like, this is good. So, maybe they'll do the same thing for Star Wars. We'll see. And, The Force Awakens comes along and we enjoyed it. I mean, we went to see it 3 times.
I think I think when we originally saw it not like going to the first screening at midnight or going to any kind of premiere special screening. We went to the Peck and Plex, cheap, easy, after work. It's going to be fun. And then we were like sitting there, like, oh my god, this is like your childhood. It's like, oh my god, this is really, really cool. And god, that seems so nice compared to now. But it was like we really enjoyed it. It was like it ticked all the boxes you kind of wanted it to, and a little bit more, and a little bit less sometimes. But we enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know how Keith felt about it. Did you see it like at a special screening?
What? Which one are we talking about? The Force Awakens. Yeah, I was lucky enough. I've been quite blessed with this trilogy in so much as because of my BAFTA affiliation, I've been lucky enough to go and see them. It's BAFTA screenings with Q&As with many of the cast and crew. So I'm seeing it in a kind of different in a different environment sort of thing, I guess. But yeah, I mean, The Force Awakens, as we've sort of talked about in length on previous episodes, go back and check. I did see that several times on the big screen. I tried to see it in all the different formats. So I went to see it in IMAX 3D, and I went to see it, regular, and I went to see it. I don't know. No, it was Rogue One. I saw in 4DX, which is crazy.
Is that when your chair moved?
Yeah, which is too much.
I don't know why you pay to have a chair move and freak you out and make you pants.
No. But but yeah. So I did see it a few times. Yeah, and I've since watched it on home video with commentary and all sorts. So yes, I very much enjoyed it.
And the thing is that with The Force Awakens, it did leave you wanting to see more.
Yes. Well, the thing about that one and The Last Jedi was like there was a promise. It wasn't. No, but there was like
no. But the was for Last Jedi. We'll get onto that.
Okay, but the thing about The Force Awakens, you suddenly had this whole world of what stuff was going on, and it's like there's this promise that we're going to lead you onto this. It's going to happen. This is going to. We didn't know what was going to happen, but there was more to come.
Yeah.
And that was what it was exciting
maybe a
about.
bit of an explanation of why the galaxy after Return of the Jedi had gone backwards to the state it was in A New Hope, but we never got that.
Well, that's the thing. Even now, because I'm a nerd and I'm a freak, I've kind of read the books and the stuff about it, and it's still, you still don't know. There's still a hell of a lot of ambiguity, and you can kind of. I mean, the writers that are writing it, they're like guns for hire. Some of them are really good. I've read their books, unconnected to that universe. And it's like, well, they're good authors, but they're dictated what they have to write. So they can only touch upon certain things. So it's very strange. I mean, if you're a writer, you write because you write. But when you've got to write and you're dictated to, you can write about this, but you can't write about this. But you've got to make sure this is written about. It's very, very strange. So this whole universe is being dictated to by Disney. There's no kind of like... Yeah. There isn't a plan, really.
Well, I mean, the thing about the extended universe was that it had a logical sense of where it was going after Return of the Jedi.
It didn't.
Well, for most part, I think for the most part they did. So all the stuff referring to the fall of the Empire. So the Empire wasn't completely gone after Return of the Jedi. It took them years to actually make their way to Coruscant. And to actually build the New Republic.
But they've got a new timeline now, and this kind of dictation of the universe where I can't remember it is when in Force Awakens when the Hossian system is blown up, and then they have a new timeline for what happens in the Rise of Skywalker when this other planet, which is inconsequential, gets blown up. So they've literally got several timelines. So Disney are trying to sort of connect things. So you have so apparently. The Battle of Yavin, which was apparently really big and dictated to like literally the timeline of Jesus before and after, which when you compare it to the Rise of Skywalker, really, 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 really small. That was the dictation of the timeline. But in this one, when you see the Rise of Skywalker at the end when there's a big battle, physically there can't be that many ships in the sky. Like I think you were watching a YouTube video where some guy was saying, look, you can't have this many here and this many here because they'd all collapse into each other. Because you can't have that. They'd have their own gravitational pull, or they'd fall down, or they smash into each other.
Well, that's one of the complaints about that. But I think we will certainly get into all that.
Yeah. I mean, they're making up as it goes along, and as a narrative storyline. I mean, even if you're a writer, you're literally thinking what comes to your head. There is too many things going on, and I think we talked about the other day about toys. So, like, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
We always do on these podcasts.
You are,
it's fine.
Yeah. It's like, so another part of Star Wars lore, which is recently coming to fruition, is The Mandalorian. I mean, have you watched it, Keith?
I have not.
I really recommend it. There is a naughty way you can watch it. I don't know how, but there's a naughty way you can watch it.
Yeah, I'm furious with Disney about this, by the way. But we'll come on to that, I'm sure. But like you said, to sort of make this clear, so when Disney bought this from Lucas, right? Yeah. They obviously, to free them up in terms of storytelling, they said anything other than what was then the 6 movies.
Yeah, after Return of Jedi, I think.
And I guess the Clone Wars TV series was that.
That was
the animated series.
This was under the stipulation of George Lucas that the Clone Wars, because it was still in production. That's why this year we had the Clone Wars 7th series, because that was, put in the budget.
Those are all canon, and everything else is gone to legends. I know you don't like the term, but legends, right?
Yeah.
And that includes all the sort of comics, video games,
everything,
books,
some
novels,
of the comics,
the whole thing.
Games, some of them, because they've embraced some of them. So Dark Empire.
No, Dark Empire's not.
No.
That's the thing. Dark Empire's gone. Heirs of the Empire's gone.
Well, they've borrowed things
what's
though,
the game
haven't
that's
they?
very popular now. Fallen. That's a new one, but there's one before.
Force Scene or something. Is it?
Oh God, I can't remember, but I know it's. Really
Jedi.
Fallen Jedi.
Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah. But that's EA under license from Disney.
Right.
So there's another one. I really can't remember the name.
Are you thinking of Shadow of the Empire?
Shadow of the Empire. No, it's not that. It's something else. Where they've done a second one, and everyone had mass complaints about it.
No, that's Battlefront.
Battlefront. That's it. Because
But Battlefront's just takes the locales and characters from the films and
But they
put them
borrowed
together.
from the Legends universe.
Oh,
Some
okay,
things.
Well,
right.
they-
I know what you mean. There's
Yeah.
the complaint was about the first game was that there was no one-player experience. So for the second one, they made a one-player experience,
Yeah.
which was supposed to bridge the gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens through this sort of. She was like a special forces character who was originally on the Empire and then went over to the Rebels.
Right.
I never played it. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that since Disney, and I guess because they've got a group, Pablo Hidalgo heads up the story group, right, at Disney for Star Wars.
A really good big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni. Those two guys I properly trust, but Pablo Hidalgo, I can't pronounce him.
Hidalgo, I think.
He's been pushed off Twitter from bullying because of the amount of flack he gets from things. Because he was behind Clone Wars and Rebels and a lot of things. And
Right.
I mean, this is something that you guys don't touch on, but the social media bullying side of most films and things like that, it's
disgusting.
It's
Yeah.
unreal. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't
Toxic
have
fandom.
we don't have kids, but I've got nieces and nephews. They're quite young, and it's just
Yeah.
to think when people are saying to you, "Go kill yourself,"
Yeah, the fandom
and finding
menace.
out where you live and doing creepy things. I mean,
Yeah,
You know what the fandom menace is.
yeah. No, it's.
There are a group of YouTubers who they just everything is bad about Star Wars at the moment. They love all that stuff.
and they're loving it at the moment.
Oh yeah, but I mean they
But
I don't know. It's kind of like it is a pushback because Hollywood does this thing now where if you don't like the film or they think there's going to be they're not going to get many people, they want to get it into the news, and one way to get it into the news is to say that a lot of the fans who are complaining about the trailer Ghostbusters okay, well let's briefly talk about The Last Jedi because I think we've gone over it in great depth, but in regards to Rise of Skywalker, the problem with The Last Jedi was it was supposed to be a middle act in a 3-act trilogy, and
of a 9-part story.
yeah. And the thing was that Rian Johnson didn't leave it open. He kind of ended it. If anything, if you look at the Disney films, you could leave it at The Last Jedi and be quite happy. You know, okay, they didn't win, but they're alive and they could go off and have other adventures. But it kind of, there was that whole thing with the boy with the Jedi powers, there could be hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it did literally just go, it was like a guillotine just went shoom and just stopped the whole thing in its tracks. Because if you compare that to the end of Empire, you're promised several things. You're promised that Luke and Leia and Lando, Chewbacca, are going to go and find Han Solo. And you're also promised that Luke will face Vader again.
Yeah, he's got his whole new hand and everything.
Yeah, especially now that he knows... Well, that's the thing at the time. He could have been lying, but we know that's the truth. He had to face his father again. And so you left with, well, you kind of, oh, wow, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. End of Last Jedi, there's none of that.
Well, you kind of do, but you don't, because it's like, okay, so the whole crux of the films is, so the main antagonists are Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, and Rey. So the fact that at the end of the film, you don't know whether, like, what's going to happen to them. They're obviously going to face each other, because neither one are dead. That's the only way they can finish it. But so this one is, like, obviously going to face each other again. So she went from hating him to kind of liking him, or whatever that was going on there, to now she's got to face him again, where she's tried to turn him to the light side. And now... It's I mean the whole thing I liked about The Last Jedi was because it was totally different. It was like, you know, from looking at visually, so many people said there's so many scenes in it that are just perfectly shot and perfectly done. And for the love of God, I can't think of a nice scene like that in The Rise of Skywalker. Like visually and cinematically, they're really, really good. Like the colouring, the positioning. I mean, this is people reaching, but it's almost biblical.
Yeah,
They made the colouring, the positioning of each character, the higher up and the lower up, and then how they go a lot. It's well made.
Yeah. My feelings for it have kind of changed since seeing it. You know, sort of all these years later now from when it was released, because I did love it at the time, and I do say it has a point of view, and it has a thesis that it's trying to put out there. This whole idea of getting rid of the past and you know, moving on. The whole idea of let's not be Jedi and Sith. Let's do something different. And you know, and love it or hate it, it kind of had a point to it.
Yeah.
But it didn't. But
it's not really a Star Wars film.
It was this whole overarching thing. So if you look at the two trilogies before it, they all they were leading to something. You know, even though the first trilogy kind of, you know, the way it was done, because New Hope was like a one-off film. You could watch New Hope and you wouldn't need to have to watch Empire Return of the Jedi to enjoy it.
They made the idea that there might not be much more after it.
Yeah,
there could be. That's the thing.
Yeah, they saw it as a one-off.
Well, even George did.
Yeah, George saw it as a one-off.
There's all this thing about, you know, it was always a...
he wrote so much stuff that
we've got a graphic novel that can show that he had a... I got it for you for Christmas, but it's just the whole... There was
the
a
original, his original script,
well,
which is very, very much like Phantom Menace in some sense.
Yeah. Because he went big, and that's the thing. I don't know if he was stoned, but he had a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say that for the Force Awakens. Well, they didn't have idea. Well, they had idea, but they didn't have ideas.
Well, this is the problem with Rise of Skywalker, is that there was no overarching plan for the whole trilogy.
Yeah.
They decided they made the first one.
Made a lot of money for them.
Yeah.
They were super happy about it.
And then they because they had all three directors lined up, didn't they? Originally, it was going to be JJ, it was going to be Ryan, and then it was going to be Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah.
And so there was some sort of plan. And JJ did his bit because, you know, he's good at doing what he's told. I'm sorry, but he is. You know, if you want somebody to make a Spielberg film, he's your man. But just don't let him get behind the controls of the thing, because you get Into Darkness. Which, I mean, I have to say, Rise of Skywalker is very much like Into Darkness, which we will get into. But then when Ryan did his, he threw the plan out.
He did what a director would do with any film, because you want to... He's a
but
he threw the plan over his shoulder. Didn't he?
No, but the thing is, this is the problem when you're doing a trilogy, is that you have to have an overarching plan. You have to need a goal for where it's going to. And the thing was, Rian Johnson went, well, you know, they told him what they were planning with Force Awakens, what it was leading to, and he just went, no, I'm just going to do my thing. And he threw a lot of that out. And the Rise of Skywalker is the answer, is like a reply to it. It's like two bickering children. So the amount of... So we're going to get into Rise of Skywalker. The amount of, you know, poo-pooing of Last Jedi in Rise of Skywalker was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Force Ghost Luke saying, oh, this lightsaber is very important. You have like the that maneuver they did in Last Jedi, the Holdo mover. I went, oh, that was just 1 in a million chance. So it's like that turns that whole sacrifice into, actually, it looked like she was trying to escape, and unfortunately there were some ships in the way and it just didn't work. I mean, the whole hyperspace skipping proves that.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, well, you know, what does Han say to Luke in A New Hope?
Yeah.
It's not like Dustin Crop's kid. You could fly into a supernova and that would just ruin your day. You know, this is, you know, it's like Poe's going, oh, just flick this, woo, flick, woo, flick. You know, I'll be here, I'll be there, I'll be there. Oh.
And I will say this about The Last Jedi. That was probably like my favourite film of all the trilogy. Because, like, Rian Johnson is a director. He does what you would do as a director. Like, I want to see Knives Out.
Oh, Knives Out is amazing.
Yeah. All his previous films, you could see that he's not like M. Night Shyamalan.
No.
He doesn't have twisty twist. But he does know what he's doing.
He does, but I have to say, there's always weird decisions. The only thing I can't enjoy what's his time travel film?
Looper.
Looper.
Oh, Looper, yeah.
I can't enjoy that for the whole reason they tried to make what's his name look like Bruce Willis. It made no sense.
Joseph
That was an
Gordon-Levitt,
action.
yeah.
That was an action thing.
No, that's
Yeah.
ultimately a directing thing because
I don't mind it, but then you're getting too pragmatic about it. But the thing is, you're getting well pragmatic, man. But the thing is, with at least with the Last Jedi, you can think Rian Johnson is a super nerd. He actually has read the legends. He knows. He took a picture of his shelves when he was getting very defensive with the nerds and it got deleted. But he knows all the stories. He's a big fan. He was a nerd before he was given the film, and that's why they gave it, because they trusted him to be a nerd and to respect him, to respect my authority. So you can say, but I think that film, it's like there is something like the legend story, the book stories about it, because it is similar. Like,
well, I mean,
because the whole story. So I'm going to get sort of super
right.
nerd on, where Han Solo's son turns to the dark side, and becomes, was it Darth Vader? But not, the son, I forgot his name, Jason Chad.
no.
But they had the child. He knew that story, and he tried to bring it over with that.
I think this is the thing with the Disney Star Wars is they have sort of cherry picked from legends.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in Rebels, you've got Grand Admiral Thrawn, which was the Timothy Zahn creation, wasn't it?
Who was a character who came in after Return of Jedi, not before.
They've just bought him. They've got the same character, the same character's backstory, the same character's look, and all this, but they've just moved it
not
forward
all the same story.
30 years or whatever. Haven't
No,
they?
they've changed this story a lot from. It's funny, they got Timothy Zahn to come back and write the book.
And he'd already written a book about his history. It's like really funny. And they've rewritten a book about Palpatine, apparently coming out this year.
Well,
because apparently, spoiler, he survived.
Yeah, I was
going
to say,
spoiler.
Even though, what is it? The director Ian McDermott, he said, no, I was told by George Lucas specifically, he dead, but he wasn't dead.
Well,
but then they haven't.
This is the thing. This is. I mean, this is quite a good way into Rise of Skywalker because actually that literally is the first line of the scroll, isn't it?
Yeah.
After
which is really
which is bizarre.
It's pissed everyone off.
Yeah,
it's a bit like.
Well, okay. So the scroll for one is just the worst scroll ever. Yeah, seriously. I mean, if you thought the Phantom Menace one was bad, this is far worse.
I just think a Phantom Menace that is for children. It's the kids' version of the film.
Yeah, I know, but let's not get. I'm just saying that I don't want to get into a whole argument about why the Phantom Menace scroll is bad.
Right, I'm going to go and sit in between these two for the rest of this.
It's amazing.
I just want to say it's just so bad, and already it just makes you question what on earth is going on. So, Emperor Palpatine is back. This is from the scroll, and he's broadcast to the whole galaxy that he's back. Why?
Now the first part is like the dead are alive, the dead live, or something. It's like what?
Well,
I always thought when I read that it meant Luke Skywalker's back. It's like, damn, yeah, but no.
But this also kind of in a way sort of ruins Return of the Jedi a little bit because
their victory is shallow.
Well, because you see, I mean, obviously. That's Vader's sacrifice. That's Vader, embracing Anakin Skywalker and going to the good side of the Force and all this sort of thing again. Yeah. But, not only is he thrown down this reactor shaft and whatever, but then
the Death Star
explodes like moments later, right?
It's on the planet and it's half okay.
Yeah. Yes.
But what's funny about where he went down the hole, where it exploded, well, quite near, like where the centre of the Death Star is, and he fell down. That's the shaft.
Yeah, he went to the reactor core.
Yeah, it's like damn.
And it appeared to explode before the Death Star exploded as well,
didn't it? The robot chicken version where he keeps falling, keeps falling. So, still falling.
Maybe he'd land next to Luke's lightsaber, but sorry, that's another thing. But anyway,
so so the dead are alive and they're stupid. So you make a broadcast to the whole universe, and then we cut to Kylo Ren leading the First Order, and he's just killing people randomly for no reason.
But do you know what planet that was?
It's supposed to be Mustafar.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing though.
Bloody hell, did it not look like Mustafar? Yes, it had a red sky, but everything else...
Yeah, it didn't look
Well, apparently, so I'll probably get into this more later, but there's a campaign now to release the JJ Cut, which is the 3.5 hours.
Which version of... Because
there is so much discrepancy now. What is the version of the version of the version of the version?
Well, because they more or less shot 3 versions of this film. I mean,
I heard there was 8 endings.
Oh, endings, but there's 3 versions of the actual film, because originally the villain wasn't Palpatine. The villain was supposed to be another character out of Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was a super cool character.
Played by Matt Smith.
Even if, like, you know, connecting wise, it made no sense because you had to watch the Clone Wars, which was a bit of a loss for them. It's like, come on, Disney, you could have proper sold and rebranded it and have it on Disney Plus and make money from it, but they lost the bet on that because...
Again, this is another sort of finger up at the Last Jedi, because you were left with Kylo Ren as the leader, and you were just wondering, what is he going to do now that he's in charge? Yeah. And the Rise of Skywalker, he is literally back into the same position he was.
He's the bitch. Because that was the thing. Like, he was meant to be. I said this last podcast. He was meant to be the big bad. Because like his line about he wants to finish what his grandfather started, and that was like Darth Vader could not be the emperor or the leader because he fell in the lava and he hated, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was just like, you know, he's just basically disabled, so he couldn't have the power. Like, I remember reading in the legend story about how he couldn't do Force lightning because it would ruin his but anyway, but that's the thing, he wanted to be the leader, so he was the leader. His only nemesis would be Hux. Hux was the person that, because at the last shot in The Last Jedi, was looking at him like, I'm going to kill you. And that was the thing, and that would have been perfect, because this is a person that has the history of his family, and he has this conflict within him. He's got a love interest that's a girl he wants to bang, and it's just like, you know, that would have been quite. I would have accepted that, and then then he would have to be turned coat and go to the. It just, there were so many possibilities. It wouldn't have been bombastic as it was, because they made it way too bombastic. They kept making it go so fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, this is the problem. The whole film. I mean, so we went to a midnight screening of it. I was a little tired, but you know, I was thinking.
You had to work the next day. I had to go in. I got home at 5 and then had to get up literally at 5:30 and go to work for 6.
Yes, but I mean that's got nothing to do with the viewing of the film.
It was my dedication, not yours. You could sleep.
But it was like watching somebody play a video game, and the story is like a video game. So they have to go to this place and find this item that unlocks this level, that leads them to this next thing, this next task, and then onwards and onwards and onwards till they finally get to the big baddie at the end, and then they win, and you know, great. And it is literally, if you've been around to a friend's house and they're playing video games and you're sitting there watching it, it is boring as anything. It's great playing the video game when you're in it and you're playing it, but if you're watching somebody play the video game, that was what it was like, because there was no time for characterization, there was no moments to breathe, you didn't care about anything. Any kind of threat, any kind of death was then soon cancelled out. It's like Chewbacca, you know, there's when she killed Chewbacca, you were, oh my God, you know, and you think, how is she going to do all of this? But no, it's fine. He's alive. He was on some other transport that magically got away when nobody was looking.
Which we literally find out less than 5 minutes of screen time later and about 2 scenes, I think it is, that we find that out.
Yeah, so. It's just like, there's no threat here. There's no suspense. You're just literally watching them go through numbers. And it is like we're ticking these boxes, so they've got to do this and they've got to do that. And then,
and also the coincidence, whereas they just happen after a speeder chase, they just happen to sort of
Crash
at the quicksand, which is right above the place where the knife that they're looking for, with the clue that if you happen to stand in the exact right place lines up, which they do later.
And then we find out Rey can heal, and it's like they can do that in Star Wars, but I'm pretty fucking sure it's not that dramatically healing. It's more, you can't heal, like you can't bring someone back from the dead sort of.
Well, I have to say that was where it got into the into darkness thing for me. I was suddenly
it was the case of when you saw that when she healed the worm in the tunnel, and then the worm kicked its tail, and then they got out. It's like
it's like, as I say, it's like the video game. It's if you heal the worm, you can then get out. That's what it felt like, and it's just like, oh, when's that going to come into place? So it did feel like they had read a lot of the fan criticism.
But the thing is,
they just sort of they kind of like, well, those criticisms that everybody had against Rey. Oh, we don't ever see her training, so we see her training.
Yeah. She's trained by Leia, who never trained.
No, but again with that, see, she gives the lightsaber back. Saying, I'm not ready or whatever. But then 2 scenes later, it's given back to her. That's the problem, is every cool thing that they do, like cool story idea thing that they do, they kind of undo moments later sometimes. And that was the kind of frustrating part about those aspects of it, for sure.
There's the other things that, things are set up that are never paid off. So what did Finn want to say to Rey? Because, we never found out.
Well, no, I mean, the assumption is that he's force sensitive, right? But,
I don't think that's what he wanted to tell her.
Right.
Because, ever since he put Rose in the friend zone.
Well, yeah.
So, again, this is another finger up at Rian Johnson's Last Jedi. So Rose Tico, plays is a cameo in this film. And, after all she did, saving Finn's life, he's really put her in the friend zone.
Yeah, I have to admit, I kind of wish that rather than JJ letting another one of his mates, i.e. Dominic Monaghan, be in the film, which, I applaud him for his loyalty and whatever, but I would have rather, to be honest, this was the other thing. They introduced so many new characters, but didn't really use the ones that were already existing, and Rose Tico has got to be the best example of that, in the fact that they had her, she was studying diagrams or something while the others went off on a mission.
She meant to be a commander. She got meant to be a commander, and then they kind of didn't have her. And what was it, at Disney Con? They actually had J.J. Abrams saying that she was the best thing about that he appreciated Rian Johnson gave him.
He really doesn't like the Last Jedi. He doesn't like what Rian Johnson did.
He doesn't like Rian Johnson.
Well, yeah, but he does not appreciate what he did to the Last Jedi. It's not what they planned, and this again. So Rise of Skywalker is trying to retcon.
Well, people said that you could watch The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker and ignore The Last Jedi. Yeah, because that's like a backstory.
Well, because other things as well. The character arc that Poe Dameron goes through in Last Jedi is completely forgotten about in Rise of Skywalker.
And he's still a little shit. That's the thing.
Well, this is the thing. So he went from somebody who didn't think, was gung-ho, to suddenly caring and being more of a leader. And then when we jump to to Rise of Skywalker, he's back to where he was at the beginning, sort of just gung-ho.
And then you find out he was a spice runner?
Yeah, but again, you just get a scene where... So this whole thing where... So one of the tasks, they find the dagger, and C-3PO can read the Sith writing on it, but he can't say it because the droids are sort of programmed not to speak that language. So they have to take him to a droid smith on this other planet, which Poe Dameron knows about, And they go to this new planet where it's snowing and it's like, you know, under occupation and there's loads of soldiers everywhere. It's very World War II kind of thing. And bump into Poe's girlfriend? Ex? I don't know. Friend? You know, this masked lady.
Well, you never actually see her face. You
see her eyes. Yeah.
There's a lot of people up in arms about. Okay, another thing. Where people up in arms about she's wearing this tight, sexy uniform, and you never see her face, so it's very gratuitous and it's pointless because she's demoralised. You could have had her in something like padding, which is kind of true. Right. It's a snowy planet. Why would you be wearing all that?
I think the bigger thing was that just again a new character is introduced and then dismissed straight away.
Yeah. But she's a cool toy.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the courier who gives them the information at the beginning. This character's like green with yellow tusks. You know, he's in that scene, and the next time you see him, he's beheaded. You know, and
Mark Hamill and voice.
Yeah.
So,
but Mark's got to do something.
He doesn't have much to do in this one.
No.
And he's the only one with the name Skywalker.
Yeah. But
officially.
But I mean, the thing is with that character is already he's a toy. You know, the Lego Millennium Falcon, he's in it, and just like he doesn't even be in the Millennium Falcon. He sort of pops his head in, you know. And there was a slug character which was like in that scene we'd never seen again.
Well, he was meant to be a bigger character.
Yeah, I mean they've done this with everything. You've got. What is it, Dio or whatever, which is this lampshade on a wheel.
Yeah. I don't really care about that character, but you can kind of see they needed this in for a toy. BB-8 is a bit like passé now. You can't really do
that's
much
all
more.
It does.
They can give him a sombrero, but
and then the other thing that I had kind of irritated me about that character was suddenly do we need protocol droids anymore then? Because we've got now a character that. You know, one of those robot-y type characters that speaks English, voiced by JJ actually. But and it's like, you know, my headcanon doesn't like that at all because it's like it's not.
Well, I mean, the whole point with the Poe's girlfriend is that she hates him in one scene, and they're friends.
5 minutes later, she's giving him
a coin. Again, it's the video game. It's just they got the coin that gets them on the ship.
Yeah,
but it's like there's many funny scenes that make no sense. But when she's she's fighting Poe and Rey gets her lightsaber out, and I was like, "Bitch, leave him alone." And it's like she goes, "I like you." It's like never. What you wouldn't this universe obviously is different and it's a bit violent, a bit dramatic, but you suddenly go from saying like you're fighting someone and saying I like you. It was purposely for this plot, and then she's helping them, and not actually helping them, she's really helping them, giving them this, and then she's proper helping them when she goes there at the end of the battle.
Yeah,
and it's like she's obviously a not selfish person, but she's self-involved, and she doesn't like Poe, and then she's helping him, and then when he offers to get one in the back around the corner somewhere, she goes like no. So it doesn't make sense.
Is that offer at the end?
Yeah, well, she basically he's like he does the head nod, and she's like hell no. But it's like what I just don't get it.
Well, that was the case of the not gay. That was the case of because the whole Poe and Finn. You know, are they gay or not?
There's an interview on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there to say, you know, Poe ain't gay. He's not into Finn. And Finn's not into Poe because he doesn't seem to be into Rose.
Well, that's something, this is a whole different thing, which I thought was, it's quite true, and then it's a bit overthinking where all the stormtroopers are black. Because isn't it funny that only unmasked stormtroopers you see are two black characters? That's overreaching. And it is the case of then there's this whole thing about why is it two black characters? They're the ones getting it together. Because obviously he was going to get it on with Rose, but obviously she might be too boring.
Oh,
it's overreaching.
Again, you got another character they introduced on Endor, and
it could be Lando's daughter at the end of it.
You were joking. Lando was hitting on that like something mad.
Well, no, that's the thing. Apparently, there is it's Reddit, but
the problem is, none of this is in the film. All this stuff outside of it.
But that's why they're justifying it would be better with the JJ cut.
No,
but then I just think it would be too much.
But the problem is,
and you go into a coma. The Irishman would seem so short compared to the JJ
Yeah,
cut.
I mean the JJ. I mean this is the problem. This is why it's such a Frankenstein sort of cut, because it's obviously they've cut together several different versions of it into one.
We haven't actually explained the storyline.
I don't think we need to explain the
but
storyline. It's literally like bad guys want to do something which is never clearly explained. Good guys have a short period. Okay. So there's a fleet of Star Destroyers that come out of...
Where did they come from?
Where they come from?
And who?
They're like weeds.
And who
Don't
operating those things?
Disney's answer to all this is it's space magic. Don't worry about it.
There's Sith occultists that have grown up under the rule of the... They're not Seths. They've grown up under the rule of the Sith. Sith.
The Seth.
Farland.
Seth Farland.
They've grown up under it, and they are like the cultists, where they make the ships. They deal with it. They're like the people that just do everything.
This is the problem, though. This is the stuff that you have to read, like the visual dictionary or whatever of it to know this stuff, right?
Because the film doesn't explain.
Intrigued, but I don't want to do it to justify.
But the film never explains all this. You're just shown this stuff. It looks good in a trailer, doesn't it? It's like the Enterprise appearing out from under the sea. It's literally the same motif. The Star Destroyers come. Star Treks, it's JJ. It's the JJ Abrams playbook, isn't it?
Wasn't that
have ships raise out of stuff.
Wasn't that Super 8? Because that was on the other day. Like the bloody thing comes out of the ground. He got some pathetic things. That thing's rising up, man. So
you see one Star Destroyer go up, and then you see a sky full of it, and now
it's all not got space. A Death Star laser on them.
Yeah. How did they get that?
Yeah, and also the other thing is they're in an atmosphere as well. They're not in space; they're in an atmosphere. Yeah, which is a big atmosphere for have all those ships there. Again, it's just stuff that looks cool, but there's no way to explain it.
But I love the whole thing about. So you think about it. So Palpatine won't kill Rey. Even though it's his granddaughter, he won't kill her. Yeah. He wants Kylo to be his bitch. But then Kylo's like, no, you be with me and we'll kill him. But then when she goes there, he's like, okay, you can be... I don't want Kylo, I want you, Rey, to be my,
No, he wanted... This is why it's so stupid. He wanted Rey to kill him. Yeah. So that he could transfer his essence into her. So he would become her. And that stupid vision that they kept using in the trailer with her with the flippy up lightsabers, that's supposedly what it is. That would be her as Rey. Well, she is Rey Palpatine, but I mean, she would be the Empress. Yeah. And then he realizes that because the two of them together, he can just force drain them of their life and become young again.
And get some fingers on.
Get some fingers and stuff.
I got fingers.
And then sort of throws Ben Solo at this point away, and then
because he hasn't got a scar now, so he's all that But that's how they differentiate the character now.
Yeah.
Because when
I didn't even notice that.
Because when she healed him.
She managed to heal his scar.
Yeah, it's like...
Really? Oh, Christ.
Or make it less so.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I mean...
Apparently his hair got curlier and nice. Well, this is the new... It is funny. I do love reshoots.
He didn't have helmet hair anymore.
Everyone said, you can tell the reshoots because her hair's this and his hair's this, because obviously hair grow, and then when it's extension hair, it look different every shot. But it is, it just doesn't, Yeah,
I mean, I know we're jumping around the place, but it just...
It's what the film does.
It's what the film does. It literally it just goes globe trotting, or galaxy trotting, and it's just like you're going from planet to planet. And as much as I love Rogue One, I hate the first half of it. It is literally we're at this planet, and then we're at this planet, and then we're at this planet.
Yeah, but at least they've put a thing up to tell you.
There is. And again, this was a complaint that fans had about that film, so it's hence why there's no names on this one. It's just like, we can't... They've done this weird thing where, so they were trying to retcon Last Jedi, they're trying to please the fans, and they're trying to appease everybody
and make money at the same time.
And it's just
a mess. You hit the nail on the head with the fact that is the problem. They are trying to, because they haven't had one person sort of guiding this journey, as it were.
Well, the only one they've had is Kathleen Kennedy, and I
don't
mind
think
she's
she's not very much of a guide. You look at her history. She's worked with Spielberg.
It's a pedigree. It's a very good pedigree.
But you then question, how much does she actually do?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, Lucas put her in place because he thought that she would carry on his work, that she'd be his man or his woman, and it didn't work out that way. She took the Disney money.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's there to, please Bob Iger of Disney, and I think this is, oh God, it's really tricky because
I know we've not been there, but we've seen what the work's been like. So we'll just go with her decision. So she went with JJ, and they did Force Awakens, and they decided, well, we'll make it close. We'll throw out Lucas's ideas because that's just weird and wacky stuff, man. We just want New Hope because everybody knows that it's, and as fans, we embraced that because we thought, okay, it's back to what Star Wars used to be. But let's see what they're going to do with it. Hopefully they'll move it forward.
Well, you always knew they were going to make the middle film quite dark because you kind of thought that was what they were going for, and they hired someone that was a director that was going to be quite dark. Yeah,
but the problem was that Kathleen Kennedy, instead of just saying, well, this is the plan, Ryan went, well, I want to do this. And she went, yeah, go for it. And that's what fucked it, really, because she let another director do their own thing when really he should have been following the plan for what the whole trilogy was going to be. I know he made a good film, but the problem was
he third one. Then that's the thing. He should have
done the third one. Yeah, because he does end it in a way where it's not the traditional second act. It doesn't. They're not at their lowest. Well, they are at the lowest point, but they're not. You're not seeing a way that they can get out of it. It's
not Empire Strikes Back desperate, is it? No.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like I said, like the whole Force Awakens and the Rise of Skywalker, they could be two films on their own. Apparently, they did want to split the Rise of Skywalker into two films, or if not, release it in like the summertime this year in 2020. But that's just their excuses they're using now.
Of course they are.
There's so many different stories.
They're scrabbling because they're scrabbling for excuses because they suddenly because Kathleen Kennedy's decision to let Ryan do his thing, they're suddenly like, well, how do we end this? Colin, they've been very well known for sacking directors or getting other directors to correct the director's work that they've done. So, as much as everybody wants to release the J.J. Abrams cut, well, what about the original cut of Rogue One? Or what about the two guys who were doing Solo? What was
Lord
their
and
cut?
Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this whole second guessing, oh, it's not what we want. And there's, replacing people with kind of what they know what they're doing. I mean, with Lord and Miller, they took what should have been a shameless cash grab with the Lego Movie and actually turned it into a great film. I haven't seen Lego Movie 2, so I don't know what that one's like. But the Lego Movie didn't deserve to be that good.
So and let's not forget what great work they did on Spider-Man Into the
Spider-Verse,
which was a big. We've already had a podcast on that, but
you just wonder are the people who are running the show, who make decisions, don't seem to know what they're doing.
No. Well, sorry to jump in, but a slight tangent, but I just wanted to say it while we were there, is when we did talk about Solo on our Solo episode, go back and listen to that. One of the things I was saying was, the inclusion of Darth Maul. Yeah. It's back to this having to know the expanded universe stuff again. I said that I was worried that would sort of confuse people. Well, interestingly, shortly after we recorded that podcast, I saw it again with a friend of mine who's a fan of the Star Wars films, but he's not a mega fan. He's more of a casual viewer, but obviously grew up in the same period as me and with all the films and had seen them all.
Yeah.
But when we came out, the first thing he said to me is, he said, "So is Han Solo then the same age as Obi-Wan Kenobi?" And I was like, because he said, because that had to be before Phantom Menace, because of, and that's exactly what I was saying when we talked about that film, is that's a fan service thing, so you could get a lightsaber in there and a recognizable character and all this, but unless you know the Clone Wars or the expanded universe and whatever, Rebels and whatever, that you know, that was confusing, and I know
also
sequel baiting as well.
Yeah.
It was literally
you always
like
knew that Han Solo was older than everyone because he called Luke kid.
Yeah,
because he was obviously older, probably like it was. I think Harrison Ford was 10 years.
But not than Obi-Wan. But but no, I thought that was funny. But anyway, sorry, that was a slight aside. But I just wanted to mention it because we. I was going
to say, if you look at the Star Wars and Disney, people referring to D Lucasfilm. So Lucasfilm is like they're calling it D Lucasfilm because it's Disney Lucasfilm. So they're differentiating the two. But if you look at what Disney are doing now, it's all remakes, live versions of the film. They have no original ideas.
Well, no.
And I find it quite disgusting. Like I was looking on their like Instagram, Twitter, and they're constantly every week promoting the female. They specialise on the female person that's working in some department. So they're doing the now trendy thing. Doesn't mean they're good. You can be male, female, or whatever you want to be, but if you're shit at your job, you're shit. Mm-hmm. But they're doing what's trendy now, and it's just pleasing everyone. So, I mean, I don't want to see a Lion King or Aladdin, but what's Disney doing now? They've done Frozen 2, and apparently this is what I've heard today because I haven't seen Frozen 2. Frozen 2 is Rise of Skywalker. The storyline's the same. So you find a girl, find something out about her history historically, has to overcome it, sacrifice herself, but no, she's alive. And then it's all good, and it all goes back to normal. Everyone fine. That is the Rise of Skywalker in Frozen 2. They've done the same storyline from Rise of Skywalker to Frozen 2.
Well, I think
the love interest doesn't really matter because she's an independent woman. She doesn't need nobody.
Yeah, well... Well, I mean, the other thing as well was that Frozen was kind of like a metaphor for her coming out as well. That whole let it go, you know.
Yeah, because the gay community is totally embraced Frozen. It's like let it go.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I just want to answer your question about that whole thing. Why it's the same is because Hollywood is now getting so small. There's no. Well, it's not
Disney
scared.
owns 75% of the industry, don't they? Now?
It's not that they're scared. No. It's that they're spending like 100 million to 200 million to God knows how much on these films.
They're spending 200 million on promotion. Then they have the film.
Well, they're spending a lot. They are spending huge amounts of money, and they're not willing to take a chance because they know. So they just homogenize it. They just make it as safe as possible because they go with stuff that they know they're going to make money on. Because if you look at it, Frozen 2 has probably made more money than Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. I think Frozen 2 has passed the billion mark. I mean, you know, and it's they have to get that kind of return for it to be a success. But it's what's killing the studios. It's what's killing Hollywood because where's the small films?
Well, they're going to Netflix because it's only
yes and no. But the problem is though we had loads of like distributors and production companies, and now we've just got Netflix and Amazon. It's gotten really small.
Well, I'm waiting for the next one. So when you think about Netflix, where do they come from? We all know them, but then they became a thing. There has to be something next now because Disney have got their Disney Plus, Amazon have got their thing. I'm waiting for the next one because it all comes in trends. So what is next now?
We don't know.
Like, even like, say, not going on about the Golden Globes, but we were talking about before about Ricky Gervais. It's true. People don't go to cinema. I mean, that is the thing. Like, they will make a lot of money from cinema, but they will make a lot of money. They've already released. Order now your, metal tin can version of the Rise of Skywalker. Amazon sent me a link to pre-order it, coming out in like April, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've already, but that's where they're going to make a lot of money. You've got the £20 version, you've got the 30, you've got the 50. There's different versions of this sort of thing you can get.
But I mean, at the end of the day, what makes them the money is the cinema. They're making billions of dollars at the cinema. I don't know if they're making that much off DVD releases or Blu-ray. especially now that not many people buy physical media, and every studio and distributor has
Disney
their own.
Plus was meant to be their saving grace. That's the thing, because you can apparently stream.
Yeah,
But don't get me started about Disney Plus.
Okay,
Yeah.
Disney Plus. I read you can stream the prequel thing, the prequel films, but you can't stream the original Star Wars films.
Oh, what? Not even with McClunky in there?
No, apparently there's something going on. It's going to happen soon, but there's something going on because that means they're doing something to it.
Right.
I haven't.
No, it's not that. It's the fact that.
Is it George Lucas?
No, because George Lucas does not own it. He does not own it. He has stakes in Disney, but he don't own Lucasfilm. They bought it. They bought out everything. They're doing
Lock, Stock and Barrel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're even gonna. As you asked, what are Disney gonna do next? Well, they're gonna do an Indiana Jones film. That's what they're gonna do next.
Boy.
But the thing is with the whole subscription wars, as we're going to call it, is that Netflix came along and they started buying up licenses from all the studios to show films. So originally when Netflix came out, I think when it first started building up, there was quite a big library on there of films to watch. And the thing was then the studios kind of went, oh, wait a minute, they're making money out of this. Why aren't we making money out of this? So they had Disney Plus come along and all that kind of stuff. And Netflix went, well, our product is now being denied to us because the amount of new films they get is getting smaller and smaller, and the amount of time they have it for. So that's why they're having to make their own stuff. And that's why, Netflix is becoming a bit of a power because they do it off sort of licenses from other films.
I mean, here's the sort of startling statistics about Netflix is the average studio makes 30 films in a year, right? Last year, or now the year previous, Netflix made 90, and that's not including their TV shows that they're kind of famous for their streaming shows.
So the thing about Netflix, you know what, they don't release their information. That's everyone's like, well, why won't you tell us what is the streaming numbers? They don't disclose information. I don't really care.
No,
but they also the makers.
They also give the filmmaker not only the budget but complete creative control as well. That's the difference. They gave Scorsese control to make The Irishman because none of the studios were interested in a 3.5-hour film with Scorsese directing De Niro, Pesci and Pacino.
It was surprising that Quentin Tarantino with Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he had the power to have what he had to make that film and to dictate.
Well, that's because his films make money, and because he only makes one film in a while.
He's of the Weinstein criteria, where like you can just say he's a
controversial
dick.
now.
I know he's a dick. He shouldn't have this right because we watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I only know it because I read it. But there's like 15 feet of women's feet. He got foot fetish going on there.
Yeah. Well, we know that.
Look at Kill Bill.
Yeah. But it's just the thing is like. There's not many directors that nowadays or anyone.
No, because it's gone from being a director's medium to being a studio medium. It has gone back to the studios. They have ultimate power over it. Looking at the difference between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, he wanted to do something with his CGI company that he made for the Frighteners, and they wanted to do a lot of work. So they thought, what's out there that we could do? Lord of the Rings. It's 3 films, 3 books, 3 films. It's fantasy. It's got wizards, goblins, orcs, magicians, all this kind of stuff. It's hobbits.
And he was passionate about it.
He was very passionate about it.
He's super mad.
And it comes out and it's a phenomenon. It makes a lot of money. When Return of the King comes out, they clean up at the Oscars. Other studios want that. They want that kind of fantasy trilogy that will bring everybody in. So years later, they want to do The Hobbit, but Peter Jackson, he doesn't want to do it. He wants Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro wants to do it. Peter Jackson was going to be like executive producer of it, but Warner Brothers, who own New Line, and also MGM owned the rights for the first one. they said, well, we want Lord of the Rings. We want another trilogy. And it's just, you could see it in those 3 films. It was just literally, it's like, well, we like Lord of the Rings. We want another Lord of the Rings. What can we turn into Lord of the Rings? Oh, The Hobbit. The Hobbit's in the same universe. So instead of it just being The Hobbit, which is a standalone story about a hobbit, a wizard, and some dwarves having many adventures going to the Misty Mountains to get this. Okay, it's a few, but I mean, it's kind of like they a bit like Rise of Skywalker. They go from one adventure to another.
Yeah, but it's one book.
Yes,
and it's a kid's book. So
yes,
it's very simple.
Yeah,
very linear. It's like the whole thing with him.
Exactly.
The
3 long movies.
The him with the dragon, when he has the conversation with the dragon, meets the dragon. It's
Yes.
It's not as massively played out as it is. It's quite,
they have to do it, and
he tricks the dragon. He tricks what's his name?
Gollum.
Gollum.
Yeah, it's, as I say, it's a simple story, but that's not what the studio wanted. The studio wanted Lord of the Rings, and they wanted it to tie into Lord of the Rings. Hence why you have Galadriel in it. You have Saruman, Legolas.
And then female
elf,
who's sexy.
All looking older, even though it takes place beforehand or whatever. But
and also kind of damages Lord of the Rings, because then you go, well, if Gandalf knew that Saruman was about and knew that Bilbo had the Ring of Power, then why did he do all that investigation in the Fellowship? It just ruins, So the Hobbit films are just.
Sorry, and how are you relating this back to Star Wars? Sorry.
It's just a trend that studios are taking over from when. So, Lord of the Rings is a director's vision.
Yeah.
And The Hobbit is a studio's vision, and you can clearly
would you say the same now with Star Wars? Yes. The original trilogy and the prequels, regardless of what you think of them.
Yes,
that was one man's vision.
Like Force Awakens. Whether you think of it, there's not as many films now as you can think of. Like, I'm saying it wrong. Where you've got a film that you can carry on a trilogy. How many films have you seen that have gone one film, potential trilogy, have gone bust?
Oh yeah,
you might like it.
Yeah.
But the people don't like it, or it's just shit because they can't carry on. So this
or
has
just
actually
didn't make the money.
Yeah, this is the film series that has made the money with the sequels. I mean, the thing in the studios now. So you had like Game of Thrones. And that made money. Obviously, it ended really badly. Nobody really liked it. So now you've got things like The Witcher. They're looking for what is now. So this.
Well, yeah, they're looking for the next Game of Thrones. Yeah. So hence why you'll get all these fantasy shows.
In a way, I'm kind of glad the Rise of Skywalker came out, even though it's horrendously bad. And don't go see it. Don't go give them the money. Give it the money to charity. It's kind of shown Disney and the studios that you can't keep doing this. I mean, it's really ironic.
Has it?
I
don't know. You're hoping, and I hope as well. But they don't seem to learn these lessons.
Everyone loves The Mandalorian.
Those who have seen it.
Yeah, those who've seen it somehow. But The Mandalorian, it's really well done. It is Star Wars. It's a rugged, rough universe, and it's got something cute, and it's got something badass, and it's funny and it's sharp, and you've got Bill Burr in it, and you've got like stormtroopers taking the piss when they can't shoot for shit.
That's spoilers.
Yeah, well, no,
but it's very well done because you can tell the people that are involved in it. What's his name? Director.
Oh, Jon Favreau.
Yeah, he's a nerd and he knows what he's doing. So you can kind of think he is like hopefully him and Dave Filoni.
You get the feeling that they've been left alone as well. Yeah. They just said, well, we need a TV series for Disney Plus.
What's funny about that was I read recently. So the episode before the last episode, when they had all the stormtroopers outside shooting and doing the shoot up bit and fighting, they didn't have.
Look! You are ruining it for Keith. He's not seen a single episode of this. He's not reading anything.
I already know too much about this show.
I've probably seen the memes and the gifs, but apparently there's a scene where they're doing a shoot up fight up for whatever reason. Okay. They didn't have enough, stormtrooper outfits for that shoot, so they had to sort of do a call out for like nerds to come with they call themselves a name, these people that dress up. It's like LARPing for stormtroopers in America. And they rocked up, got their own stormtrooper uniforms, and they were the ones that were shooting. They were fans. probably like fat ones there as well and whatever. But they had people that, because they didn't have the money,
Some
they were
people
given the
that
money.
are a little short for a stormtrooper, maybe.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
see
But
a
it's
thing
just-
in that helmet.
It's so endearing to me that they didn't have the money and they didn't go to the students like, please give us more money. They thought, well, we got to get creative. We'll do it this way and get them in.
Yeah.
And it's really like that is what Star Wars was. I mean, they made things with popsicle what's-its, and they were like in the new ones. So they finished in the Rise of Skywalker. Apparently, they finished last April, and they had a wrap party, and then they had to go back and shoot everything
do
again.
reshoot, yeah.
And they had the actors flying in.
Well, yeah,
coming
literally, I've seen an interview with the actor who plays Palpatine,
Ian McDiarmid.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he literally got called in last year,
Yeah.
the end of last year. They're saying we're going to bring the Emperor back, and he was like, "Oh, okay," you know, and it just feels like this, you know, bad idea. I mean, it's literally like, again, you know, Rian Johnson, you know, left them in a position where
He left them in a position to get creative and do their own.
yeah,
like, to
which they
come up
didn't
with- yeah,
do.
'cause it wasn't safe.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, Rian Johnson he did literally say, "Fuck it, I'm doing it my own way." That is what Last Jedi is in that's the series of films. I mean, and he has to take some of the blame of what Rise of Skywalker is, because he didn't exactly leave them in a good position, as I say, of being the second film in a 3-act structure in a trilogy. So, you know, he killed Snarkoff.
But he did a theatrical thing. He left it for the second act to be the act of tragedy and drama. That is what he did. It's tragic and it's dramatic.
Yeah, but he ended it. Is the thing.
No, I don't think he ended it.
He
ended
did.
It,
He literally.
ended it
The
how it should have been ended.
last shot is you see
That you
what
know
obviously is the Millennium Falcon flying off in the distance as a star, and the kid looking up like this, being like the future. It's like, well, how are you going to go from there?
There was so much they
I
could
know
have
that.
done.
I know there's so much they could have done, but they didn't want to do that, did they?
It
They
wasn't
just
safe. That's the
they-
thing. I understand.
yeah,
that, but
they
I
just-
don't
they
understand
just-
it, but they didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
It's
It
literally
all-
like
it
if Last
basically
Jedi
comes-
was a standalone film, it would be better.
It all came down to toys. That's all I'm going to say. Everything
Well,
came down
I mean,
to
this,
toys and
this
money.
is the
Yeah.
thing. Can you sit down and watch all 3 of these films back to back?
No.
No. This is the thing. It's
I would
just
watch
not a
the
trilogy.
Last Jedi on its own many times. Again, Rise of Skywalker.
You
if it's
say
on,
that,
like,
but
if it's
how
on-
many times have we watched The Last Jedi
I've
since
watched
we...
it multiple times. You ain't watched it because I've got the Blu-ray.
Yes, but I
haven't
think we've
watched it
only
with
watched the
you.
Blu-ray once.
Yeah, but I've watched it.
When?
It's, when you're at work, love, okay.
But I mean,
Just to dictate to me when I've watched it more than
Oh,
you
okay,
have.
all right.
here's
Listen, love.
Listen, dear.
oh dear, domestic happening here. Here's the thing. I mean, you know, the thing about selling toys and whatever, all of the Star Wars have been guilty for that since you know, even after the success of the first Star Wars film,
Yeah,
which wasn't A New Hope at
Yeah,
the
but
time, but was
that
Star
saved
Wars,
it.
and you know, I've got kind of all these sort of theories in my own head about a lot of this stuff. I'm always on these podcasts. I'm always banging on about, you know, behind every great director and great visionary director is usually a fantastic producer, right? And I've had this sort of whole theory with Star Wars. Obviously, I love George Lucas. I love what he's created, although he has also made very questionable choices since
Well,
that.
how did that?
And well, yeah, but I think I always look at what's now known as Episode 4, New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back, and those for me are my favourite bits of Star Wars, right? Yeah. And it's to do with, yes, I was a kid and, you know, all that stuff, and I was learning and blah, blah, blah. But those films were produced by Gary Kurtz, okay? And they had a parting before Return of the Jedi because Gary Kurtz had different ideas for a much sort of darker vision with Return of the Jedi. And at this point, Lucas was getting persuaded, you know, about selling toys and Ewoks and, you know, all of this sort of thing. And I've always thought, and I said this, I still love Return of the Jedi, but I always thought there was a little bit of a drop in quality. But I think it's about it's the ending of a saga. It's the ending of a thing, and it was a satisfactory ending. Don't get me wrong.
When I watched it, I think I genuinely watched Return of the Jedi before I watched Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back.
Oh no!
Obviously, as a kid.
Okay, yeah.
Come on, man. We were poor. We could only watch it on TV, and I just remember we recorded it off TV, and we had the adverts, and I can remember the adverts from the 90s. It's really lame, but it's just like I loved it because it was cute and it was schmaltzy and it was scary. But it's cool. It's happy at the ending. It could be its own storyline on its own. You could take it away if you didn't watch it as a kid.
Yes.
Because you didn't know too much about it.
Yes.
But going back and watching the other ones, obviously that one I admit there's so many toy factors to it. Like I did want to get an Ewok. I wanted a fluffy toy. Yeah. I watched the cartoons it was 80s or 90s. Like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah. But it's just it was quite innocent then. You can think about it like they wanted toys, but it was very innocent.
Yeah, I mean, when we did we didn't have all the. Obviously, nowadays we get all the backlash because everybody has a voice because of the internet and all this sort of thing, which you didn't have back then.
But I always say this: Star Wars was made for kids, and the one thing I would say about Rise of Skywalker, and I remember I went to work, and obviously I hadn't slept because I went to the midnight screening, and we got home at 5, and then I left work for 6 in the morning, and I was dead.
It's not a thing.
Isn't it? Yeah, a thing. But I have a nephew that's autistic, and really love him. But it's just I kept thinking, this is a film for kids. Mm-hmm. How are you going to explain to a child this whole storyline when the main character everyone likes is Kylo Ren and he dies? Because death is one thing, but death when a person does something good and turns to good and then they die.
Like Darth Vader.
But Darth Vader was a bad character that you never saw anything. He saved his son. It's like, well, he did what he had to do. But this character, he was the son of the heroes from the original films, and he dies. Mm-hmm. And I'm not being emo or anything like this, but it's a bit like, from a kid's perspective, I didn't think it's going to fuck him up, but it's because I don't know his mind specifically because of his what he's like, but I know he has a mind that sort of everything is like why, and I knew from thinking about how Disney works that there is no justification then, and there is no justification now. I mean, they might have some continuing comics, books, series, and whatever, but there is no justification for death in this one. Mm-hmm. For a big character, and it kind of like it lost the innocence.
Especially from the point of view that everybody else was brought back from death.
Yeah. So it really pissed me. I mean, they will probably bring back the character, but I really couldn't give 7 shiny shits about it. But it just really thought, from thinking of someone I know as a child, it's not fair.
Well, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, I think, because the problem, and I will say later in this a few things to defend Rise of Skywalker, because I don't think it's perfect at all, but it's not without merit either, I think. Okay. But you hit the nail on the head. Nothing in the Rise of Skywalker can deal with the question why. That's the problem with it. Everything you're sent on this, which JJ is great at, this sort of 80-mile-an-hour story, which you can barely keep up with and you're nearly out of breath with. But if you go back, if you then do the repeat viewing and go back a second time and sort of, none of it adds up. None of it can, for your little cousin or whatever that says why, or a nephew or whatever that says why, right? You can't really. Whereas the first film, the first trilogy, and even the prequels, right? If you ask why to anything, most things, apart from the Immaculate Conception maybe, but most things are explained somehow and paid off and whatever. Unfortunately, the Rise of Skywalker, which had things that Rian Johnson had done and also things that JJ had set up in the previous movie as well, not all of it gets paid off, and the stuff that does really doesn't, if you hold it under a microscope. Bearing in mind, I know we're talking about a space fantasy with wizards and all this sort of thing, but the internal logic of that universe or that galaxy doesn't add up, and that is the fundamental problem. And I think obviously that there are the haters out there of Last Jedi, which I wasn't happy with everything in Last Jedi, but at the same time, I respect Rian Johnson. In fact, Knives Out was probably one of my favourite films last year, you know, which he had total control of. But my issues with that were, we're getting onto the sort of woke thing that the whole of Hollywood is covered with at the moment. And I think that contemporary or social politics and contemporary humour have no place in a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Wherever you look at it, it's a kids' film.
Yes.
Because you just always got about you enjoyed it as a kid.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just stuff like...
They are the market that they go for. Like, I didn't realise marketing strategy, it goes for the people with the most disposable income. Kids and teenagers, because the parents will give them money.
Well, also...
They're the dumbest... They're the dumbest ones to go for. But the most logical
I wouldn't say...
But then again...
I wouldn't say the dumbest, but they're new to everything.
But then Generation X are the people... are the generation... We are the generation that have spent all the money on...
Yeah, because you spent that money
the toys
when you were a
and stuff.
teenager.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
were Generation X, and I was a Generation X.
Yeah, so...
Bit cooler, but yeah.
Excuse me?
Okay. No, but it does make sense. But even in this film, for the Generation X, I don't think they've done it properly. Like,
no,
there isn't anything.
I agree.
There is like I don't know that even so what's the actor that played Poe?
Oh, Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaacs, yeah.
I mean, he wanted the character to be gay. It's like there's an interview on YouTube where he's like, well, he wanted him to be gay and have a relationship with Finn, but Disney said no. It's a really short clip, and I think it was like the end of the day when he done interviews. He just says it as it is.
Yeah,
and he's probably
and to be honest, you know that
But that would have been a perfect thing if they'd done that.
Yeah,
and then Disney
because...
like, well, we got kids.
Well, but they have people kissing at the end. Two women.
They have two women.
But of course, it's women, and of course, it's
But are they? There's nothing really explained. No,
it's acceptable for two women to kiss, but it's not two dudes.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, again, Star Wars, despite the fact it's all about family and stuff, but Star Wars, there's been a bit of romance in it, but it's never been about sexuality really. Yeah. And it was really weird because when you think about it, in certainly in Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, you had this kind of love triangle of Leia, Luke, and Han. Even though two of them end up to be siblings, but whatever. But
I think that just sort of comes to the unplanned. This comes to how unplanned the trilogy was.
But someone pointed out that we had a fourth triangle. We had Chewie.
Chewie's a being in his own right as well. Yeah, but here's the thing as well.
She could have got some Wookiee.
It could have been interesting, perhaps. You know, going back to this Poe and Finn thing, if there had been some sort of triangle going on there, but with the men. So you had sort of maybe Poe and Finn, but also, I don't know, Finn and Rey or something. Yeah. So do you know what I mean?
They forced a trio. So Finn, Poe, and Rey. Obviously, they're the good guys in the film. But there was obviously in the first film they all didn't really meet up. In the second film, they were all doing their own.
Oh, they met right at the end.
But they'd already met in the first film, but they cut the scene from Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson put it back in. I don't know if that was necessary from the studio perspective or whatever, but they didn't mesh very well. I mean, the actors might have got along, but there was no connecting arc for the story.
No, of course not.
I mean, she obviously got along with Finn, and apparently, like the bit when he's sinking in the sand and he goes to her, I need to tell you something. And everyone's like, he's going to say he loves her. It's to say that he thinks he's got force. And if she's so powerful and she's a Palpatine, that bitch should have known that the dude can feel. Yeah.
But this is the thing.
It's one of these
they don't dwell on anything. There's no time for character.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. There's they keep moving. They keep introducing new characters, which you know, no doubt. Those characters and the actors that portrayed them, they're going to have their spin-off comic books or novels or whatever. But
Boba Fett was the coolest character everyone liked.
Yeah.
And when you see the dude that played him, it's like, oh, Al, because he
was
like...
that was the dude who played him in the special editions. Yeah.
But no, the dude that originally played him was a nerd. He was just like some guy with glasses, and he looked like someone's dad. The guy who was in the suit is the guy who grabs Leia
in Empire Strikes Back when they're in Cloud City and Luke's there. He's the guy who grabs Leia and is literally using her as a human shield.
Yeah.
That's the guy. That's the actor who plays Boba Fett.
Yeah, he's.
But there is a picture of what was it in when they did the special editions of a really nerdy guy with glasses. That's the special edition.
Yeah, but the thing is that Boba Fett was a minor character everyone got interested in because he did a few things, and that's the Boba Fett effect.
But
they did books, they did stories.
Yeah,
he
but the thing is though, he had an effect on the story. Yeah. So you're introduced to the bounty hunters, and he is the one who chases down Han to Cloud City,
in a badass way.
leads the Empire there, and then freezes. Well, the Empire freezes Han Solo as a test for Luke Skywalker, and then he takes Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt, setting up Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of the new characters in this don't do anything like that.
Exactly. Unfortunately, new characters, some of which
like
I
they
think...
had Maz Kanata in it, and it's a bit like, why? Because she needed to replace the scenes that Carrie Fisher couldn't do.
Exactly. But the other thing that's really annoying is, yes, they have Maz Kanata in it, which is great, but still doesn't explain how she got Luke's lightsaber, which is the bit that's always bugged me.
Well, the other thing they don't explain is
how they fix Luke's lightsaber. Yeah.
And how does she get both parts off the ship?
Yeah.
You know?
There we go.
It's I mean, it's literally, and she builds her own lightsaber at the end. It's like, well, why didn't she do that in the first place? Yeah. Oh, because they're trying... They didn't do that because they didn't want to say this is Return of the Jedi, where it clearly was Return of the Jedi.
Like, this is where superfans come in, and I've read it. So the last shot and scene. So when you see Rey standing there with the twin sons, that is the same physical shot of her when she's facing off the TIE fighter with Kylo Ren. Literally, her standing there with her side dress blowing in the wind. Same shot. They've literally transferred it to that shot. Also.
Because it was a thing they thought of afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And then the other thing is because
these things have to rhyme.
Yeah. So okay. So the bit when she puts the lightsabers in the sand, that wasn't in the original. That's not sand. It's just ground. It's not sand.
Right.
So and then there was apparently no Force ghosts of any other people for that shot. Like Ben Solo wasn't in the last shot, so he might have physically been. He didn't die. And then I love this, but I read this the other day. So when he kicks his cloaks and goes back down, apparently if it doesn't work very well, someone said from a physical shot as a shot going back, it's someone coming forward because she's pulling him. So they backwards the shot.
Yeah, I mean there's
so many, because this is just fan theory, but it's true that there's so many things they they fixed at the end to make it
fixed
work.
in post. Yeah, I mean quite a lot of the film, I would imagine. But
I do believe the whole thing, the last shot of her standing there, that it is the same shot because they've done the frame.
But it's absolute. It was that scene was just like, hey, we're gonna kick you in the fucking balls because it's like, okay, so Luke was a legend, but yet she knows where he lives, and also the fact that it's not like a shrine or anything. It's literally like it's been abandoned since New Hope. So what? Been like that for over 20 years.
Looks like
even though in a world where you've got Jawas that will strip anything, you literally think that they would have been in there.
Yeah, they got.
Yeah, you think there'd be squatters there or something.
But they do make it like, I don't think it's the storyline they're going for, but they do make like, girl's gonna stay there. She's gonna live there now, and this but. They don't explain why. He wasn't born there. Leia wasn't born there. Leia had no connection other than her husband getting kidnapped and having killed Jabba.
Yeah.
And obviously, their father, Luke and Leia's father, when he was there, he was a slave. Their grandmother was a slave. It's not a happy place to be.
It all feels a bit forced, doesn't it?
Fucking awful.
And they were trying to go. I couldn't help but think they were trying to. They wanted this to be like the Casino Royale moment because when
it just turned out to be the Solo moment.
What's your name? And she goes Ray, and he goes. Ray who? Skywalker. It's almost like Bond, James Bond is the last words. But
so you have random old lady come out of nowhere. Yeah. But it's just like the Imperial troop, the Imperial whatever in Solo, where he's literally like, what's your last name? Oh, I don't have one.
Yeah.
Solo.
Yeah, all right. Well that isn't great either. But here's the thing. So let's let's look at this a minute.
Okay,
So,
I want to hear what the positives are.
well, okay, but let's talk about JJ a minute, because JJ, I've always been a fan of JJ, although he has definitely done missteps along the way, and he's getting a lot of, they're calling him Jar Jar Abrams and stuff on the internet. He's getting a lot of things. I think he is a bit of a yes man that sort of come in to try and fix all this.
Yeah.
And if we just look at, first of all, before we get into this film, let's just kind of look at what his big screen film career. So he obviously, on the small screen, he set up Lost, and he did the pilot of that, and then he got Mission Impossible. So he then handed over the reins to Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cruise to finish off Lost, right? So he went and jumped, and then he went and did Mission Impossible, set up the Mission Impossible 3, which I know is one of your favourite of the franchise, and now obviously that's very much in the Cruise Macquarie. It's their thing moving forward.
They've carried on that story
exactly.
Yeah.
Star Trek, we've talked on many a way in this podcast about how great he set up as a non-Star Trek fan himself. He turned it into an action movie, and the first film was good. The second film, very bad, Into Darkness, and then obviously he then handed that over, and I still think, despite it didn't do well, I thought the third film was way more interesting and went in a good place. So he jumps ship to Star Wars. He does The Force Awakens, which, let's be honest, everybody was happy with, us included. And he set up a lot of things in that. So he set up, the Knights of Ren. Okay, he set up all of his characters. He had that really dramatic ending, right? Which obviously Rian Johnson turned into a comedy moment and threw it over the shoulder and did all of his stuff. And Colin Trevorrow, as you said, was working on episode 9, right? Everybody knows all this. So the point I'm getting to is, sadly, in that time, we lost Carrie Fisher for real. So we lost Princess Leia, who was largely going to be who this last chapter was about. So they were doing, Force Awakens was Han, Last Jedi was Luke, and Rise of Skywalker, or then unnamed Star Wars project, was going to be Leia. So sadly we lose Carrie Fisher. There's nothing anybody can do about that. They talked about recasting, at one point. There was Meryl Streep mentioned at one point to play her. They talked about doing, like they did in Rogue One, the sort of digital face replacement that they seem to be doing on everything now. And JJ stepped in and said, look, we're going to respect Carrie Fisher, so we're going to use footage of her that we'd shot for Force Awakens, that were deleted scenes, and we're going to reverse engineer and repurpose those and redress her using CGI, but we're not going to change her performance or her face. We're going to have her daughter fill in for some flashback stuff, Billie Lourd, who, by the way, if you've seen Booksmart, is a really good actress.
Well, she's really good in
and American Horror Story 1984, and all that stuff. So he had that to work with, which is a problem straight away. Okay, your lead character for that 9th chapter, is deceased, and we've got to use what we have. Okay, we have to repurpose what we've got. So you have that on one hand. On the other hand, a lot of people were unhappy with what Rian Johnson had done. Not that I'm saying what he did is bad, but a lot of people. A lot of
the actors in the film had some issues because,
John Boyega wasn't used really, was he?
Yeah, not to say anything bad about actors, but actors are egotistical and they have their own ideas of their characters. Simon pointed out to me, some actors, even when they're the bad guy, they see themselves as the good guy. Yeah. Or they see themselves as the main protagonist when they're like...
Which you kind of should do in some respects.
Right, which you can understand.
Yeah.
But I think Rian Johnson, the way he does it with actors, he obviously respects them, I think, but it's just you are part of you're a
yes and no. We know Mark Hamill has definitely gone on record about...
No, but Mark Hamill has said nice things about Rian Johnson.
He has.
More nice things about Rian Johnson than J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams didn't use him in either film.
Yeah. And to be
But,
fair,
to
George
say, though,
Lucas
but
wasn't
the thing,
an actor's
yeah,
director
I mean, the main
either,
complaint
but-
against what Luke Skywalker was in The Last Jedi was that he wasn't Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
He was like a... I mean, I enjoyed the performance, but I could see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because Luke Skywalker, throughout the original trilogy, you know, he was always, you know, well, I've got an idea and we can do this, and he was
Yeah,
just
he was
full
the ray of
hope.
hope, the new hope, literally.
Yeah.
And
And
then
just
the hope
what
was fucked.
and then to turn back, but I mean, it
But
just
anyway.
plays into the whole
Yeah.
theme of what The Last Jedi was.
Yeah. Okay. So we had that. So you had you had some of JJ's loose ends to tie up that he'd set up in the first film, and he did. To be fair to him as well, I don't think he was expecting to tie up some of his loose ends, even though him and Lawrence Kasdan had apparently written out a sort of rough story to cover the next two films. You had Colin Trevorrow's ideas in there as well, which apparently some were still kept. You had things they had to with Chris Terrio that they had to rewrite.
He's
I mean, look at his track record. We got
Batman v Superman,
Justice
Well,
League,
he
isn't
won
it,
an
or whatever?
Oscar
But
for being like writer or co-writer of Argo, and I haven't seen Argo.
Argo is an amazing film.
Argo's
Yeah, I
good.
know it's quite good, but I probably
But-
haven't seen it because I don't want to see it because I know it's so good. But the thing is, his pedigree is like a mixture of both shit and both
We
good.
didn't do Affleck, did
But
we?
then it's like
No.
he's only done one interview, and it was one of these interviews that was sort of like pushed out into the media not long after release. He's gone on record saying like he's left everything to the audience interpretation. That's pissed off a lot of people because obviously, I mean, I like to
Are we
think
talking about Rise of Skywalker?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's the writer. He's left. He literally, I could probably find it on Google in 2 seconds, or 1 second, where
Well, it's
he
because
said.
it doesn't add up, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's a case
It's
of
not.
where
There's
you
not
don't-
been
you can't-
ambiguous. It's
you
just
can't-
been
Yeah.
just leaving
Well,
massive
You can't
gaps.
do that to a film like this where you can't say I've left it to the interpretation.
Yeah.
I think it was to do with Luke Skywalker and not Palpatine, Snoke.
Yeah.
He's literally said I've left it to the audience interpretation. And no offense to Star Wars fans because I like to think we're all kind of big Star Wars
We're
fans,
Star Wars fans,
but
yeah.
we're not super freaks. I mean, bless us.
Well, I
super
haven't
freaks.
read lots of the expanded
I
stuff.
enjoy it
but,
from
you
an
know.
outside perspective where I observe what they're doing and I'm like, damn, I'm not that. I kind of go off and do my own thing. But there are people out there who are the people that just don't do anything but.
Yeah.
And they're super mad at it. These are the people
As
that
Shatner would say, get a life.
get a life.
Yeah.
But it's just like, there are people like, I mean, I don't know if you read about it, and I thought it's quite endearing how they've done it. So they were so pissed off that Ben Solo, their character, was killed off.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone and raised money for charity, for Adam's Driver charity.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Oh,
It's
I
like
thought you were going to
they-
say they started a petition to
Oh, they've done
to
that.
do
They've done
another
They've done
the
that as well.
remake
They've got 100
remake the Sky Rise of
people.
Skywalker.
But they've done. There is things they've gone to the positive route. They've done good things.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's just the thing.
I want to hear what the positives
Well,
are. What are the
okay,
positives?
well, here's
we
the
can't-
thing.
we
Here's the
can't
thing.
find it.
So
Yeah.
so JJ is left with this task of trying to somewhat sort of course correct things, to not only tie up this trilogy but to tie up the entire saga.
Which nobody asked him to.
No, but you know, he's
And he didn't
but,
do
but,
it.
but also they want to introduce new toys, you know, new characters, new toys. Bob Iger has a say in this. Kathleen Kennedy has a say in this, and certain agendas that, you know,
Don't
she
say it
wants
to me
to
because
push.
she's a woman that I'm going to like her now.
Hmm?
Don't say it to me like she's a woman. I'm going to like her now.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just like there's this thing now where I've spoken to people, even in normal life, where they push women at me that I'm going to like them because they're women and they're there.
No, I'm not
Don't-
pushing.
No,
No,
it's
I'm
just-
just trying to
it's
state
just
some
saying
facts
that
here.
the-
I'm not pushing
But
that.
it's just saying that these
Sorry,
these
the
these
way
are-
you were putting.
Oh no! Sorry,
what he's trying to say is there was so many cooks.
Yeah.
yes, there were a lot
Right,
of cooks.
so-
There was a lot of things on the
It's
agenda.
not the agenda.
Here's the other and what JJ does deliver well, and let's just go back first of all to some of the things that people liked about Force Awakens
Yeah.
was the fact that the criticisms of the prequels were it had become a very CGI fest and nothing looked real, and you know, it was all fake environments and characters and costumes and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas JJ went back to, like he did with Star Trek as well, back to shooting it on film and old schools of filmmaking
back
and
to
mixing
basics, didn't we?
back to
Yeah.
basics,
Yeah.
right? And I think you see that a lot in this film as well, in terms of how how it's shot and the action sequences. What he's really good at is, you know, the first bit of it, you do sort of, it does take your breath away because there's a lot happening and it's jumping all over the place and all this sort of thing. What it's doing that isn't good, though, as we've already said, is it's setting up something, but then it's taking it away 2 scenes later. Now, I have to say, the Chewie dying thing, which I believe happened in the expanded universe Legends anyway,
many years
yeah.
later.
And also, even when I was a kid, I used to write Star Wars stories, and I actually did write a post Jedi story where Chewie dies, unfortunately. And I loved the character. But what I'll say is that, and also the good things, Chewie has something to do in this film, significant, which was missing, I think, definitely from Last Jedi, and the same with C-3PO in the last several movies. You know, other than being a little bit of comic relief in terms of the story, bearing in mind that the whole saga started with 3PO and R2. I do have this thing though, JJ seems to hate R2-D2.
He does,
Yeah.
Because he created BB-8, obviously, I see his, but R2 in Force Awakens is under a cloth in the corner because he'd shut down since Luke went missing and only comes alive at the end to put together the map with BB-8. And in this film, yeah, R2, I know he's got to stay and look after Leia or whatever, but again, he doesn't go on the adventure with C-3PO.
I can't even remember R2 being in The Last Jedi. He showed the hologram. He guilt trips Luke with helping Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't know if that's to do with, like, is it being respectable for Kenny Baker? Oh, because we love Kenny Baker.
Well, I don't know, but
it's just the whole thing, like, it's.
I think it's also another thing. It's another thing to do with, I think, the rights. I think they
for George Lucas.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, go to Galaxy's Edge. Exactly.
They I don't know. We don't know. The rumor is, and it's just a rumor, that Lucas still owns the rights to the original characters. He doesn't own the rights to Star Wars, but to the original characters.
Something.
It sounds. I don't know.
He had legal stipulations that's why Kathleen Kennedy was put in. He had legal stipulations that said.
But there's a reason why all the sort of legacy characters have been killed off. So they killed off Han, they killed off Luke, and they killed off Leia.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's because
they weren't intentionally going to kill off Leia until ever, because it's just Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
but
they wouldn't have killed.
Well,
I think they would have.
And also,
they would have. I don't think they would have done it so stupidly.
If Carrie Fisher was alive, she would have given some bad send off for a character.
I hope.
Yes.
I would like to think so. Yeah.
This is the thing. They did miss an opportunity when in Last Jedi. They missed a great opportunity to kill her off. We would not have gotten Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ideas I would have really liked, because you mentioned the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
And it's only now.
Yeah.
And because I can get it on bloody Kindle for like £1. I've read the comic versions of Knights of Ren and whatever.
Oh, they've all got biographies and everything, every one of them. But
damn, these characters
they're wasted.
Really dark and
Absolutely
really cool.
wasted.
But they were totally wasted. I mean, again, they're there to sell action figures, but.
It's like we're gonna see.
They didn't do anything.
No,
they just
do.
They literally. You thought they were a band of fallen Jedi.
Right.
Yeah, they were meant to have been from the academy.
Yeah,
and they none of them have lightsabers. They all have like axes, and they literally are knights. And Ben Solo kicks their asses
very easily. Yeah.
Very easily.
But here's the thing. So. And by the way, everybody talks, and rightly so, with great respect about the fact that we lost Carrie Fisher between the films. We did also lose Peter Mayhew.
Yes, we did.
Chewbacca.
But the thing is, I do like the actor that's taken
over.
Oh,
he's done a great job.
Such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Literally, apparently he spent like a month living with Peter Mayhew and his family, with his family.
Yeah.
And because like Peter Mayhew, he didn't do much after, but he embraced the whole world of it. He became an American citizen.
Yeah.
Moved in a ranch in America, and he would go to all the Comic Cons.
Yeah.
He was a bit like what's the guy that played Darth Vader?
Dave Prowse.
Yeah,
Dave Prowse, very similar.
That's how they made their living, and he was just so grateful to have a job, because
and also he was originally like a stand-in for Peter Mayhew when he couldn't do the physical stuff.
Force Awakens
Peter Mayhew
stuff.
said he's gonna take over. He gave him his best.
Well, here's the thing. So in terms of good things, Chewie. I actually think it would have been a really powerful choice if they had killed him, even though he's a beloved character.
I think so as well.
But I think that would have been more powerful. But regardless, Chewie had stuff to do in this film, which was great. 3PO, I mean, Anthony Daniels must be loving this, because this has been a great film. But again,
Anthony Daniels got his biography out at the moment.
Yeah,
like all these years.
Yeah, there you go. How coincidental. But again, something that they set up there that was very interesting that they then dumped was the fact that it's like, oh, you know, the consequence. This is the thing. There's not much consequence to anything. Yeah. We have to wipe his memory, but he's going to take one last look at his friends, and they do it so they can unravel yet another mystery box game hunt thing going on here, right? Which they do, but then sadly, again, like everything else, shortly thereafter, they have a few jokes with it, like, oh, you're my longest friend, and, you know, to that little character that does, I've forgotten his name now. God, no, well, there's Dio, but who's the little thing that wipes his memory?
Oh, the little puppet.
Bubba Fink. Something like that, yeah. You know,
another toy.
You're my exactly, another toy. But you're my oldest friend and all this. They have that, but then of course somehow R2, you know, we find out has been backing 3PO up this whole time.
They said that he was backing it up, but he didn't. They weren't sure if the backup's going. It was just
it was a bit.
I think for a moment I kind of thought they might really, because let's say they keep saying they're connected to 9 films. I thought C3PO and R2 were the main connection.
Well, they were.
He would have remembered.
No.
He would remember.
No,
I know they wiped him. But because of some sort of flaw
at the end of 3.
That's what I was thinking. That would be interesting.
It could have been interesting.
Then it would have been a super.
But I mean, they are literally the characters
so
that have been through the whole trilogy.
I'm thinking from a writing
9
perspective.
films.
Not I'm a major writer, but there was so much stuff they could have done from the literature perspective, like from that part.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
like
they didn't care. That's I think this is what it all comes down to. Is they didn't care. It was just it was like a corporate shell.
But it's called the Rise of Skywalker, and the only bloody, you know, biological Skywalker, you know, snuffed it.
Yeah.
Really lamely, like god damn, he fucking snuffed it, and then we had this girl that came from nowhere.
It's a Palpatine.
No, but basically, she sort of like identity stole someone's name.
Yeah.
I know she's catfishing probably somewhere, but it's like she was the enemy that's won now. No, she's not the enemy, but she used the Palpatine that won. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
No, but I mean,
doesn't. Okay, sorry.
But
no, sorry.
Can I just say one? Sorry, I just want to say one thing about the whole C3PO thing because what pissed me off about that was the fact that in the advertising, they played it as if this was it. He was going to sacrifice his life. You know, the whole I'm looking at my friends for one last time. And the music playing underneath it's sad. And
manipulating the audience.
I was manipulating to try, and I'm thinking they're not going to do it. They're not going to kill him off.
Well, you were like, okay, so when I saw all these, they were releasing major clips simultaneously every day for the first week before it was released.
Yeah, they released the first 5
I avoided everything.
And you were like, you didn't like that, and I'm like, no, I'm cool with that. I'm cool because it's you know, I want to see
it's
the
a
film.
sign it's a sign that the studio has no faith in the film.
I'm not like a big follower of things like this, but I thought I'm cool. I want to see this film. I'm already biased, but I never want to see this film again.
No,
right.
I don't because. There's so much wrong with it, and like
there is a lot wrong with it. I agree,
but then it's scary. There's people saying I've seen it 5 times.
Well, I've seen it twice. I saw it a second time, and I have to say,
did you see it for free though?
I did both times. I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm privileged there, but it has to be with something. But anyway, no. So I have to say, the second time I found it way more enjoyable because because I'd already picked it to bits in my head. I just went with the ride, and this is what JJ is good at, is in terms of exciting action sequences and whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I actually think the film had the fact that it relied on ridiculous consequences. Ridiculous coincidences throughout and no consequences is the bad stuff. But
and there's no threat at all. But you didn't. That was the thing. There was no suspense. You didn't feel that anybody was in danger at all.
Well, because obviously everybody can be brought back to life now.
Ride. You get excited and you fucking it's over. That's all I can think of, JJ. But there is no like no suspense. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, there's no meat to it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And here's the thing then. I mean, my disappointment with it, okay, when I saw it, and it was massive disappointment after the first screening.
How was the audience that you were with?
Right,
I can't imagine the audience.
Everybody was excited before. I mean, there was a real buzz, and when JJ and Kathleen Kennedy and Anthony Daniels and whatever came out, and Billy D. Williams, there was lots of cheering and whooping and all this, and everybody was really, and obviously there was the goosebumps when a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and Star Wars comes out. Then we start reading the nonsense in the scroll, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And obviously it really jumps around at the beginning, like that whole JJ, that whole Millennium Falcon jump, which I'm not sure I really liked.
Them to blow up the Millennium Falcon as sort of.
Well, they destroyed it several times and then repaired it so quickly. It was ridiculous.
But you get, but yeah, the audience were. I've sort of lost my track. Yeah, the audience were kind of lukewarm. But here's the thing, right? So. I've already, talked extensively on previous podcasts, so I won't go over it all again as to why Star Wars is so important to me, and blah, blah, blah. But I grew up with Star Wars from a very young age and all this, right? Iron Man and Black Widow and Captain America, I was aware of them as a kid, but I didn't really read any of those comics or watch anything. It wasn't until the MCU that I sort of really came to know those characters. Obviously, I'd seen a few of the crappy Captain America films in the 80s and 90s, but and I wanted because again, there's many films last year that we haven't talked about, we haven't done podcasts on, and the list is endless of things, from us to Avengers and whatever. But I wanted, because this was the sort of wrapping up, right? I wanted to feel like I felt after Avengers Endgame, right? Avengers Endgame made me laugh, it made me cheer, it made me cry, okay? And when I came out, the 3 hours of that film flew by, and when I came out, I was really satisfied. I thought, you know what? The last 11 years and 23 movies.
All the money
this is. I bought Blu-rays and DVDs and all sorts, but this has paid off, and it's in my opinion, it delivered, and I was moved by it, and I thought, wow, what a cinematic accomplishment, right? Now, obviously, with Star Wars, we're talking about, 11 movies over a 42-year period with, much bigger gaps and all this. But I wanted to feel like that at the end, and sadly I didn't. And I think, apart from the nonsensical plot points and not everything being paid off, the other problem was I have nothing against the actors, but these characters, so the main four now, which is, Poe, Rey, Finn, and Kylo, right? Or Ben, whatever you want to call him, right? But those four primary characters, I guess they didn't feel, nothing felt earned, and nothing felt particularly at stake at any point. And it was funny because when I watched it, certainly the second time, I noticed, because obviously Disney own Marvel as well, so we're talking about the big Disney for both of these franchise, and they're all the ends of sagas.
It's the big deal,
whether it's the Infinity Saga or the Skywalker Saga. I completely lost my train of thought. Shit.
You noticed about the end of Skywalker.
Oh yes, I noticed two things that they absolutely tried to, and it's almost like because of the success of Avengers Endgame, they tried to do exactly the same thing. The first one is spoilers galore here, but in Endgame, which I'm sure everybody is listening to this, if they're even still listening, of seeing, but you have the whole on your left, and the portals open and all the heroes come through, and you have that wonderful Alan Silvestri score, and all of the different superheroes come out to face off Thanos and whatever, right? Amazing.
Yeah.
They tried to do the same thing with the whole Millennium Falcon in the middle of the battle, and oh my god, you know, there's all these Star Destroyers and we're outnumbered, and then suddenly Lando crackles through and says, not on your left, but kind of look behind or whatever it is, and suddenly you've got the screen filled with starships, right? But it didn't have nearly this, even though John Williams has an amazing score, and that's one of the highlights of the Rise of Skywalker is John Williams' music, as always, is incredible. But then what also made me laugh is you've got Thanos and Tony Stark, right at the end, the last bit, when they're battling, and Thanos goes to snap his finger and he goes, I am inevitable, and then, you know, Tony Stark goes, and I am Iron Man, and does the snap.
Yeah.
They had Palpatine blasting the Force rays at Rey with the two crossed lightsabers, and he goes, I am all of the Sith, or something, and she goes, and I am all of the Jedi, and then pushes back. And what I don't get is, why didn't he just stop firing the thing?
You think he might have learnt before, because Mace Windu did the same thing to him, years before. He might have learnt a bit.
But the thing is, like, going back to it, everything in Marvel was earned.
Yes.
You sat through it. You knew the character. I haven't read any of the Marvel new universe, because again, it's not canon, but they have the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then they have the comic.
Well, I only know the MCU.
I actually think they've done that so well, how they've collectively done it, because they understand how it all worked, because there's different eras of Marvel, so I'm going to nerd out. So you have all the old Marvel they had from 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, well, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Then the 90s and 2000s. The 2000s got dark. Yeah. And it got very strange. Got kind of gay. Got really weird. But that was
and what's happening to movies now.
I know. Exactly. Going that way. Yeah. But they really understood what to cherry pick. And like they did it very well with Captain America. And like I remember when the first Captain America film came out, that was really like, oh shit. I really didn't give two shiny fucks about it, because Captain America, to my mind as an English person, was just very, you know, cliched.
Oh, right. Very flag-waving, patriotic.
Yeah, it just seemed so wrong. But then you learnt the character, all his troubles and strifes and what he went through. I didn't read it. I've not read any of the new comics, and even people said to me it's not worth reading, because it's just, again, they've cherry-picked it. And then, but in the films, everything you knew about the characters, you knew from the films. You didn't have to research it. You didn't have to know about it.
No.
Where like the new Star
and also Chris Evans, you know, gave a wonderful performance, I think, through those movies.
It's also a testament to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige, he made mistakes in some of the films, like in Iron Man 2. The worst Marvel film, Iron Man 2.
And Thor: The Dark World.
But that's where they kind of dropped the ball, where they were like, okay, we don't know what to do, because they always had these characters in mind for the Avengers aspect.
Yeah, I think with Iron Man 2, they didn't know what to do. The problem with Thor 2 was that they were just trying to tie
and they changed director as well, didn't they, from Patty Jenkins?
Yeah, but the director is, again, it's a whole Ryan Johnson. The directors that do the films that are off kill are good directors, but they're their own directors.
Like the James Gunns and the Russo brothers and Favreau at the beginning.
Because they kind of, they're their own directors. They're not Ryan Johnson's not a yes man. J.J. is a yes man.
He is,
absolutely, man. I'll suck your dick, man. It's just he's the way he is. It's just, I mean, I've said this before. There's directors that make a film that don't apologise for the film they made. They're like, this is my film. You know, I'm sorry about this, but this is my film. Where he will apologise explicitly for whatever the people don't like. He will appease people. And it doesn't. I don't know if it's his personality or if he's trying to please everyone, but he apologises for Into Darkness. He's actually gone online and said, "I'm sorry about Into Darkness and this. Just stick by your guns. You make something bad, you make something good. Don't apologise saying, yeah, I did it." Yeah. And then you learn from it.
But I mean, again,
he
I think
doing the same.
Well, he does, because he goes for what the audience wants. I mean, there are things in like Into Darkness and Rise of Skywalker.
And Super 8.
I don't know about the Super 8 one, but these two examples I'm going to give, is that so in Into Darkness, they've captured Khan, which they don't know is Khan, and at this point, the characters in the film don't know who he is, and he goes, "I'm Khan," and they act as if that means something to them, when it only means something to the audience.
But don't you remember the marketing thing? They didn't say he was Khan.
No, they were doing the
they kept saying in interviews,
but the
Khan?
point
It's
is
like, oh, no,
being that this in the story, it's something that the characters don't know. It doesn't mean anything to the characters. It only means something to the audience. But that annoys the audience because it's like, well, why are they acting like they know who he is? And then you get the whole thing in Rise of Skywalker where at the end Chewbacca's given a medal. And there's no time throughout the whole film
by
where
Maz Kanata.
where Chewbacca goes, I never got a medal. I should have got a medal back in New Hope. It was just something for the fans.
Because they all moaned about him not getting. But that was. Like
I always assumed that he did though, and she just did. You just didn't see her put it on him. You know, that was.
Well, I just kind of thought because he was co-pilot. I mean, it was very logical, like how I thought as a child. He was co-pilot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, and because I don't know, it wasn't, it didn't matter.
You know, there is a fan cut of New Hope called Star Wars Revisited, and they've cut it that Chewie actually does get the medal, because they basically repeated a bit of Carrie Fisher's action, and then they CG'd the medal in around the Wookiee's neck.
They've done it in silence.
Oh yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Yeah,
Without
Williams' score. Yeah, but no, but you know that was what disappointed me. Was I wanted to feel like I felt earlier in the year about because seriously I really wanted us to do an Avengers Endgame podcast because I couldn't believe what a success that whole what they pulled off was unprecedented, you know, over this 11 years.
They can't do it again.
No, they won't repeat that.
No, they will try.
They're trying.
It
won't work.
But they can't.
But again, all those directors on those films, and the writers and all the people involved. And even the actors, you know, they all had their own input and their own voice. But obviously Kevin Feige, you know, not saying he's perfect, but he did kind of keep that ship taut. He got rid of directors when he needed to, if it got to that, you know, and they kept that vision and they delivered on it, even though I don't necessarily like all of the films in the franchise, you know. It delivered and it paid off, and everything was earned, everything was set up, everything worked. With Star Wars, we haven't, you know, George had his ideas. You know, the original trilogy was great. The prequel trilogy, it you know, despite things people didn't like about it. It had the guidance. Okay, it had more of a yes man producer.
It's not about the fact that it made money, but like it's. I'm gonna like feel like I'm punching myself in the gut for saying this, but the prequels, there was a story.
Yes,
there was a linear story. So you had the Fall from Grace, the stuff from the.
We'll definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It's like so
even though we didn't really want to hear that story, it was there.
Talking to my brother-in-law about the Revenge of the
Sith. It's
I want to see Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, McFarlane.
That's going to be bad. No, but that film, like him and talking about when he saw it with his kids, it was like that was quite dark and like that's not fucking dark. But then you have to realise
but it was dark
it
for
was
a
like
it was dark.
It does bring you back to the thing. Mentally, I always think about the legacy saber, Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah,
it's like that shit killed younglings. That shit did some bad shit.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you giving it? Why is it calling to people? That is like some bad juju.
Yeah. Well, also, I still wish we knew when Luke's hand got cut off at Bespin and it fell through Cloud City. How 40 years later it ends up in Maz's box of things, and we didn't know that. And people say, "Well, so what? It doesn't matter." And like, yes, I'm sure there's going to be. I'm sure there's going to be a novel, or there's going to be a shitload of.
It's just space magic.
But I do love in the Legends non-canon universe how they use that.
The hand
to make not Luke.
Okay. Right.
This is from the Heir to the Empire,
which is actually
trilogy. It makes sense.
It's really funny on YouTube. YouTube is amazing. It does suggest the strangest things. So some dude somewhere in America he's basically making chapter by chapter of Heir to the Empire using computer graphics of the characters.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it's quite well done. Obviously, it's the dead eyes and looking really stiff.
Because that's where apart from Splinter of the Mind's Eye, that's really where the whole extended universe started, wasn't it?
They've kind of kept the courtship of Princess Leia. It was like a year before the Heir to the Empire. They've kind of kept, what is it, the witches.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, again, they cherry pick.
They've cherry picked some bits from Dark Empire into this, right?
Yes,
like
the whole
cloning.
Yes.
Stuff. But again,
it's really well. That's really what. Again, they haven't explained that. They're going to be more books about it. So in people that read it, Dark Empire. Luke, after facing Luke, his twin, goes a bit of doolally, and he turns to the dark side momentarily. Leia saves him, and he basically turns to the dark side, becomes the apprentice of the clone of Palpatine in Dark Empire 2. And it's all done in comic form, isn't it? So
yes.
they never really released
that was
a
a
book.
dark horse. And they did actually make an audio drama of it as well. Not quite to the quality of the original audio dramas, but still very good. Yeah,
and then Leia turns him back to the dark side, and I think Anakin, her second light, whatever, turns to the light side. Because she has Anakin Skywalker, she names Anakin Solo. She names that child to help Luke. Like, this is, you can't. It's all very sweet and very nicely done, but then it's like that was such a good arc because the character. I mean, that was so well done. Like the character turns to the dark side momentarily. But they don't do it very well.
Can I just say, because so Ben Solo's turn to the light side, it was very Batman v Superman. It just reminded me of Martha. It did. It was literally Leia on her deathbed going, Ben. And it's that's where it started. I know Rey then stabs him and then goes, "Oh, what have I done? I'll heal him."
And then they had Harrison Ford because they couldn't have Carrie Fisher, I guess, for that scene. But here's the other thing, which I think the Rise of Skywalker would have benefited from, is we talk about Avengers Endgame. That was just under about 3 hours long. So it had about an extra 45 minutes of storytelling time. The Rise of Skywalker felt very rushed to me.
Even if it had the extra, because like I said, there's the JJ cut and the Lucas cut.
Right.
I don't think it would have helped.
Yeah.
I would have fallen asleep, or at least buggered off to the toilet a few more times.
I mean, I wasn't, I'm not convinced by how the Emperor survived. I'm not convinced by how the Star Destroyers with Death Star lasers were built.
Only one of them actually went off and did something while the rest of them just hung out there.
They basically,
and I don't get his plan either. It's even worse than Luke's plan to rescue Han in Jedi.
When they destroyed the actual so-called Star Destroyer that had it's all very convoluted. So they destroyed that one that had the mechanism that connected them all together.
Oh yeah, they had this stupid thing where they could
fan fiction minimal thinking. It was very lame-tastic.
They had the horses riding on the outside.
They were physical horses.
Well, let's just sort of just say what this MacGuffin is. This thing that they have to destroy. So it's a tower, a communications tower that because the Star Destroyers can't leave orbit without being told which way is up. They literally don't know which way is up. It's nothing to do with the nebula or whatever that's hiding the planet. It's just the fact that they don't know which way is up. And so if they destroy that, then the Star Destroyers will not know which way is up, and so that they can just pick them off.
Knew this. It's like, dude, you left there from a while ago, and this is a different kind of beast. How can you know that? Yeah,
this is the final order.
Yeah, and it does piss me off about Hux, the way they shot Donald Gleason, because it's like, this dude is a good actor.
Yeah,
well,
but then again, it's kind of like,
I didn't like the fact he was turned into a buffoon
in Last Jedi,
and again, because that was the character they played, because
he was always going to have that antagonistic
relationship.
Maybe, but it was. But the thing was, they did turn him into a complete dumbass in Last Jedi. The whole mama joke, him being held on the line. But it was. I must admit, that was so jarring. It was so awful in a Star Wars film.
That's why I thought that the next one they'd do, because he was going to be like, "Oh, fuck you, bitches! I'm going to be the badass bastard that his father was."
Yeah, but they didn't.
And then he was going to be the one that made the First Order be as horrible and bombastic as it was, because he was maniacal, and I think I said it in the podcast before, but he came from, like, imagine the children of the Nazis. You grew up in that, and then you carried on into the future with that. That was kind of his character, where he'd grown up believing everything that they said, and went forward with it with power and conviction. And then because he had he had Kylo Ren as his leader, who was a bit of a bitch, wasn't going to really tell him anything, because that's the thing someone pointed out on YouTube, when you look at Kylo Ren, the character, and even now they're explaining he hasn't done anything bad, and they've done that on purpose. Like, okay, name me one bad thing he's done.
He killed his dad.
He killed his dad.
Yeah, but
he killed all those people.
That was the conflicted. Who did he kill? He didn't kill.
He has.
He killed people in the village, but then he's like, oh no, but he didn't do it. It's this is how they played it. I'm not saying this.
No, I know. It makes no sense, because he clearly does. I mean, God, he clearly kills
the villagers in Force
Max
Awakens.
von Sydow at the beginning of Force Awakens.
But they're like, no, he did that to prove. But this is the way they're literally making this character like, he ain't so bad.
Oh, God.
But that's the crazy thing, because his character wasn't supposed to die, because he was meant to come back to the light.
I'm getting depressed talking about this now.
But that's
it's
the
just
thing,
I'm getting back into the position I was watching the film. My brain just went.
Because it kind of does affect you for a few days after, because you kind of like, well,
this is depressing.
What?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Yeah, it doesn't add up to the scrutiny. It doesn't. If you want to leave your brain at the door, the film is quite a fun journey, quite a fun ride. It's got a wonderful score by Williams. It's the visual effects are good. Even though oversaturated with number of ships and stuff like that. But like you said, you put it under a microscope, and it makes your head hurt, because we don't really understand what Palpatine's plan was. That doesn't make any sense. Kylo Ren, I presume he puts his mask back together not to sell more action figures with red squiggly lines on the mask, but also because the intention was to join back with the Knights of Ren, but then we didn't really have the Knights of Ren anything.
I think a lot of these decisions were just like, fuck you, Rian Johnson. It just seemed like a lot of the decisions that Rian Johnson made, it was, JJ going, well, I didn't like what you did with my series, so I'm repairing them. Hence, the repairing of the helmet and stuff like that.
There's something I said before about Rose
By
Tico.
chimpanzee.
But him saying that he really was grateful to have that character. She only had was it 2.5
They didn't
minutes?
use her.
I'm really disappointed that Rose didn't get more.
Well,
actually,
she got more on
because
the extended
JJ
version.
because the thing is there. One of the things I had a problem with, it really annoyed me again, because I guess it's partly green-eyed monster, partly envy or whatever here, but I hear that the reason Dominic Monaghan was in the film was because he basically asked JJ if he could be in Star Wars. Bearing in mind, JJ's got Peg and Greg Gumberg and all his other mates, and Kerry Russell in this one, even though we don't see her, and all this sort of stuff. But apparently he wanted to be in it, because let's be honest, since Lost, what the hell has Dominic Monaghan done, right?
He was in an end video.
And well, there you go. And apparently the what happened was they betted on some sort of ball game or something in the States, one of the series, and JJ said, if you win, I'll put you in Star Wars. And apparently Dominic won, so they created this character and stuck him in. And I was kind of really annoyed, because that is absolutely what Rose could have been doing. If she had to stay at the base, which she clearly did, she could have had those lines and not have this character. So I was kind of annoyed, because most of the new characters they introduced were interesting, even though they didn't use them. Like I think one of the things they definitely dropped the thread with was the the woman stormtrooper that Finn spoke to, the one that Lando hit on at the end. Yeah. No, I actually think that was a really interesting character that no doubt they will do in a comic book or a spin-off series or something.
Lando's daughter.
Yeah,
you say,
but
then
well,
you
no,
say he was hitting on her.
Oh,
but
he was hitting on her.
You wait until they release whatever.
Right.
She's his long
Well,
daughter.
but again, I wish they'd made more of that. I wish they'd
at the end of the day,
done something.
Her character's supposed to be like Finn. That she was a stormtrooper. That
and it's really crazy because his character after the Last Jedi, he was meant to see like this is what I need to do because there's more people like me, and the son of a bitch did, well, yeah, because it was the whole thing. Like he realised
he was going to kill himself. He was going to drive that skiff into the giant laser.
But you kind of saw that he changed his mind. He was going to
even him
trying to
decided to become a rebel.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you know, there was the next New Hope because this galaxy is fucked. About finding other people because he had to realise that he wasn't the only person. Yeah. Because you have to think like then this one introduced because that made me wonder because even though the stormtroopers can't shoot for shit, at least they're people. And it's again the thing that I always think about when they kill all the people at the end at the Rise of Skywalker. How many people did they kill in those Death Stars, and how many people just basically got killed? Again, it's very murder ho and death ho about people dying. Which is really sick, and this is like Disney. It's like murder by numbers.
Yeah,
it's just really, 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 really horrible when you think of it.
I know, but then you can say that about all the Star Wars films. I mean, how many people were killed on the original Death Star?
This one was made to feel like it was more, and it did feel like more.
But then it was so ridiculous that it just I never thought it was like that. I mean. It was so.
Well, again,
dumb.
I saw and I think they appeared. I think they appeared just for a few seconds, but in the toy shops there were these red stormtroopers that looked rather interesting. Yeah. Now they were on the new Star Destroyers, right?
Yes,
but we see them briefly, don't we?
Very briefly.
They're the occultist ones, the ones that grew up. They were brought up to be that.
Okay, but again, the film doesn't say any of that.
No, really this is the problem. The
film doesn't say any of that. We don't know who all these hooded figures are.
Again, they have to. They justify it by there's a longer cut. Or you've got to read this, but
all of the Star Wars films, there's a level of read between the lines with all of them. However, with this, it is just too much.
So much crap thrown on the screen.
They've always known. So when you think before the prequels came out and after the originals came out, that there was a moment in time where people were buying so much shit and people were so into it and are so into it. And then they had the prequels come out, and then there was so much. They knew there was an audience that were gasping for it. That were like they really wanted it. So you have to think the Star Wars audience is unlike the Marvel audience, the DC audience, and the Star Trek audience. And any niche market, there isn't anything quite like it. And oh my God, they are quite angry and vindictive when they want to be, and they are quite nice when they want to be. So it's like I can't imagine being in charge of all what these people want.
Well, that's why Lucas sold it in the end, because he just got fed up with being a figure of hate. Because as much as we love him for the original trilogy, a lot of people hated him for the prequels.
Well, that and also the constant changes to the original trilogy, and the fact that you can't get the original trilogy at all now without going down weird sources and whatever. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But I must admit,
wrapping up.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
There isn't much else to say. As I said, my overall feeling was I was disappointed. I wanted to feel like I did Avengers Endgame, and I didn't. Having said that, I do think that between the death of Carrie Fisher, Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger, and the whole sort of Disney ethos, I think JJ did have a bit of a task on his hands. And also some of the choices Rian Johnson had made, which I'm not necessarily saying are wrong, but he had a lot to try and wrap up. And, he made an exciting movie, but there's nothing pays off and nothing feels earned, and there's no consequences. Chewbacca blows up, and then literally I counted, there's one scene in between, and it's less than 5 minutes of screen time, and we see that he's all right, because we see he's all right before Rey and Poe and Finn see that he's okay, you know. So yeah, disappointing with all that stuff, but there you go.
I could only say I'm not really bothered to see the film again. I don't
See,
really
that's
want to. I mean, the thing is, like, the actors that are in it are really actually good actors. Like you were saying before, Adam Driver, and I think John Boyega is really good, and the actor that plays Poe,
Oscar
Isaac.
Why can't I
And
remember his
Daisy
name?
Ridley's
Yeah,
fine.
I think she's gonna have a very low fly career, and John Boyega is probably gonna, you know.
I mean, Adam Driver's the standout.
Yeah. But it's just a case of I don't think we're ever going to know the full history of how they felt about it, because like during the press tours, there wasn't as much as there usually would be for a film of this magnitude. I don't know if that was like they probably, you know, weren't obligated to do, or they sort of said, okay, I'll do some extra scenes when you have to do the reshoots, I don't have to do it. And even when they did the interviews, it was a bit like, that doesn't make sense, because they kept saying it's so full of hope, and it's like, no, it's not. It's fucking like slit your wrists. It's miserable. Everyone dies, or it's all going to go back to crap again. Like,
we didn't need that end scene either with Rey.
I mean, I don't really want to talk about that.
It could have ended. In fact, I thought it was going to end when they were all hugging on the planet, a bit like a mirror of the Return of the Jedi ending, basically.
But they just wanted to shoehorn in. I mean, it will be funny. I mean, you guys aren't doing the podcast, but the whole what they would do next, because everything is a toy to them and an investment. They could carry on her story. Or
I'm sure they will.
But it's just like
they've created a lightsaber, haven't they? Yeah. Her orange lightsaber made out of the staff that she carried.
I do think, like John Boyega saying, you're not going to Disney Plus my ass, he said in an interview. He doesn't want to carry on because he's done his bit, and I think, I mean, it must be quite browbeating for an actor where you've basically done the film and they keep making you come back for reshoots. I mean, I mean that must be really annoying. And then you've got to promote the film and lie for your teeth. So it does. I mean, to my mind, it feels a bit like a dirty film, where it's not like dirty, but it's just like it's not as innocent and as joyous as it was for a Star Wars film in the original, and even the prequels. Yeah, the prequel films. Again, it's horrible to say that it was probably more enjoyable. I mean, goddamn, I probably love seeing the younglings getting killed more than I saw seeing this film, because they were fucking irritating. Yeah. But you got to see them die. Yeah. This one, you know that it made you laugh, but this one, it's like I really don't care.
No, I mean, you could say the end of Return of the Jedi is the end of the saga, really.
Yeah. Well, most people think that now.
And, you know, how did we feel? One question I do want to ask: how do we feel about seeing Billy D. Williams back as Lando Calrissian?
Well, you feel differently to me. I didn't mind it because I thought, oh, that's sweet.
I just, it just how he was used was a bit.
Well, the actor can't stand for very long.
Oh, I know.
Sitting down for a lot, and you can't blame that. He's in his 80s. Yeah. But it was a case of like, again, it was fan service, and like in the interviews he's done since, he's not exactly coherent. He's a cool dude. But he's there because they asked him, and he wants to sort of do right by the character and the fans.
Yeah, again, it was almost like because there was a fan backlash that Lando didn't appear. It was like, oh, we better stick him in this film then.
Yeah, and I mean, he's still wearing the same clothes he was wearing in Solo, you know.
Yeah, well, they even had the silver blaster, didn't they, that he had in, that Donald Glover had in Solo.
Yeah. It was just like, it's, you know, when he just happened to be where they were going to.
Well, there was loads of that in the film, wasn't
and
there?
he was in disguise, and you went, oh, there's Lando. Again, it's Return of the Jedi. Yeah, I mean, for me, just wrapping up my thoughts on it, you know, Star Wars just is A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, and the other stuff, the other films, I don't really
expanded
care.
Universe.
You watch when it's on TV. You watch it.
I will watch it.
But this one, I don't really.
No,
I'll probably buy the DVD, watch it for whatever.
But yeah,
I mean, it's just, you know, we own Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and we are definitely not going to buy Rise of Skywalker in whatever versions they bring out, because they certainly, I think they're going to try and get as much money out of it as possible, because
But
it's the least performing of all the films.
Yeah.
And, you know, and at the end of the day, it was I felt nothing. I sat there and I just watched it, and I didn't laugh, and I didn't feel anything, and I didn't find it exciting. I just thought it was really dull. And it, you know, the runtime, it did go quickly, but you were just baffled and confused by the choices, and just like, you know, what were these people thinking? It wasn't like bad in an entertaining way, just a really disappointing, sad, and it just makes me worry for the future, because, you know, it just makes you think, well, what else are they going to do? What else are they going to fuck up? Because they're starting to run out of IPs, aren't they? There's stuff that's flopping. You know, Terminator flops.
Whole nother podcast.
Podcast.
Although we're not doing them.
Charlie's Angels flopped.
Yeah.
Even though nobody ever asked for that film. You know, and this one hasn't done so well. I mean, yes, it's made money, but it's not the runaway success that Force Awakens is. And, you know, it's just, I mean, I've got the original trilogy, and I'm quite happy with that, and I think that's just where it should be. It should be just those 3 films with those characters, and I think what Disney have done to those characters, I think, is absolutely disgusting. I really do. I mean, when in Force Awakens, when Han Solo died, you kind of went, well, Harrison Ford was always saying that he wanted his character to die in Return of the Jedi, so I can understand that decision. But then they killed Luke off, and then they killed Leia off, and there was never a scene where the 3 of them got back together.
Yeah, that's what we got robbed of.
Yeah, absolutely got robbed off.
Yeah. And also the other thing about Disney that I'm not happy about is their streaming service, and the fact that they haven't launched that globally. You know, bearing in mind they have enough money. I am really annoyed that I already know things about The Mandalorian that I didn't want to know. Frankly, I wanted to be surprised by seeing it. So I'm kind of, as a Star Wars fan, I'm kind of quite pissed off about that. To put it on the record here.
Yeah.
But,
well, it just shows you how well that has been done. That the fact that it's even if you avoid the spoilers, it's gotten into like the culture just because of one character, and it's tough for everybody else who can't access it until April in this country, and God knows whenever.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Oh, I think I'm all tapped out on Star Wars.
Antonia, anything that you want to add?
I know it's just funny because we've enjoyed The Mandalorian and Rebels, but I was just thinking we didn't watch the Resistance series, and I think that's not very good, is it? No. It's literally only had 2 series, and they're ending it.
But again,
the
Rebels and I think The Mandalorian, are those not Dave Filoni?
Yeah, but then I'm not too sure about the Resistance series, because they even had Oscar Isaac. I remember his name. He's in it briefly as Poe, but it's a very I don't like the actual animation of it.
The animation's not very good.
It's a bit twee when we watched 2 episodes, and then we were like, it was like, I don't really care. So it's really funny. I don't know. And I don't want to ever be a producer and have to think what people want to do, but they're really, I don't know. They're not listening, and they're listening, and whoever they're listening to the wrong people. And like the Rise of Skywalker is like testament to that. There's so much wrong with it, and so much they could have done.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what they do with the Star Wars universe. But they're going to do more.
What would be the nice outcome that you think could happen? What, that they leave it alone, never do anything more with it, or they give it back?
They won't do that.
They won't do that.
Money, don't they?
Yeah, they've got to make their investment back.
Are we not getting this Cassian Andor series as well? You know,
well, that's gone quite, because the Ryan Johnson series, I was quite, they're going to do that. Why wouldn't they do that? But now it's like, and then the new one they're doing, which is going to be released in 2022 and then 2024 and 2026 again at Christmas time, is going to be about the Old Republic, which is like that
going backwards again.
They're going 500, 400 years back in the past. And it's like, I don't know, they're trying to do
whether it's
games
Star
of
Trek or Star Wars, they seem obsessed with the past rather
I
than
say
moving it
that
forward.
the Old Republic games were very good, and you had more of the Sith and the Jedi, and
it's supposed to be a big galaxy, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with the way that these 9 films have played out. It has made it seem like the universe is very small. With a small amount of characters.
What it is as with Star Trek, they feel, you know, the studios and whatever feel it's not Star Trek unless we see someone beam up, right? Likewise, everybody thinks it's not Star Wars unless there's a lightsaber.
We can say that about the Mandalorian. It's not a lightsaber, but there's something in it that interconnects it. And it's a bit like, we were a bit like, oh damn, that's good, but that's connected to the Rebel series. And again, they didn't want to have too much the Rebel series in the films because they didn't have the Son of Mortis, and they didn't make Rey a connecting character of some random character about the Rebels or the Clone Wars. But they're really...
I wish they had just made a random...
it would have been cool.
Random Rey.
There was a theory that they wanted Rey to either be a Palpatine, but that was given up, or a Kenobi, or the daughter of Ezra,
right?
Which would have been like super cool, or just been her own character. But it's like, it's very strange how they're doing their marketing. Like any kind of marketing in an industry you work in, you go for the key market that will sell the most. And they went for Palpatine. Don't quite get that because it doesn't quite work out, because it's like,
well, no, it doesn't. It's just a mess. They pulled it out of their ass. And I don't know why they went. It's like they gave up in the end. They just went, well, we just threw everything up on the wall.
She's the identity thief for the century. She's just stealing identities.
Oh yeah, but I mean, again, it's like everything she does, she hasn't earned it. You know, it just
yeah.
Well, we've got a new generation of filmmakers coming, and I just think let's see what they do with it.
Let's hope there's
a new hope.
Let's hope there's a lot of lessons.
New hope.
Let's hope there's lessons learnt from this, because you know, this, as I say, it's kind of worrying if this is the kind of filmmaking we've got to look forward to, because it's going to make people just going to turn their back on cinema. To tell the truth, if this is going to be it, I mean, it's such a shame that, you know, a lot of the films out this year was just more of this kind of crap, really. And it was only a handful of films.
There were some golden nuggets amongst
there was some, but there was a lot of shit.
There were a lot that I wanted to talk about at points, but we haven't got time now. So yes. Anyway,
otherwise this podcast would be longer.
It's already epic.
Longer.
Is it long? Is it actually longer than Avengers Endgame? Yeah.
More or less,
How long is it? Is it actually recording?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that just leaves us to say goodbye and thank you for listening, and
yes, thank you to listeners, thank you to guests, and actually, Simon, thank you to you, because you did come to me literally, I would say 5 years ago, almost to the day, and pitched this idea to me and wanted me to join you, and I was a bit reluctant to start with, and then got really into it. And I have to say, I will miss doing podcasts, if I'm honest, because you know I love to talk movies. But you know, if anybody wants to get in touch, if anybody's listening and even gives a shit, you can email me at BritishIsles, EYLES, @gmail.com. And
now available for podcasts.
Exactly. Well, funny you should say that. I may well be. I'm going to plug this as well.
Yeah.
I am appearing on another podcast called From Panels to Pictures on the Comic at crush.com. So I have been invited for an episode to talk about Star Trek Picard,
Ah,
which could be interesting.
Is that actually still coming out? 'Cause
yeah,
it's been
end of the
quite-
month.
It's out, yeah.
End of the month.
Because I've heard a few things about that, but yes.
Well, there you
Well,
go.
That's for another story.
Yes,
That's
well,
a whole nother
another
podcast, as we say. But yeah, but no, thanks, and thanks for inviting me round to do this last one face to face and being great hosts. So thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome.
We're not letting you talk.
And you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and all good podcast providers. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Movie Heaven, Movie Hell, and please leave us a like and a rating on iTunes. And
please don't be mad the people that we didn't get back to on certain podcasts that people wanted. But hey ho.
yes. And I think that just leaves us to say
farewell. And may the Force be with you.
Or not.
Always.
Not right now.